New York's only local show is back on its new home on York's only local station.
Guess who's back again.
This is the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK.
I'm back.
Now, broadcasting live from WOYK's downtown York studios inside Wellspan Park, here's Gary Sutton.
And the end of the week, a great Friday morning to you. I am Gary Sutton at 6:05, and it's, about 53 degrees outside on Brooks Robinson Plaza. This is the Main Street of America on WOYK and the Main Street of York County, brought to you today by Barley Snyder Law Firm. You can find them at barley.com. They feature a wide variety of legal practice areas, industry groups, service teams geared toward doing one thing, helping you achieve your business goals. Check out barley.com or stop by today in York here, 100 East Market Street. You can give them a call at 717-846-8888. Gary Sutton with you. Mark McKenzie here this morning as we close out the week today.
Yay.
Look back on things today and, just kind of have an all-around swell time today. But a lot of things happening this morning. I just wanted to put this down here very quickly because I forgot to paste it in there. Finally, I got it. The question of the day today has to do with Luis Mangione. And we haven't talked about him in a while. He's the guy that shot, was it Brian Thompson, the CEO of United Healthcare in New York City, and in cold-blooded, just gunned him down. And the alleged killer, I say alleged because he hasn't been found guilty yet, but should he get the death penalty or not if found guilty? If found guilty. And just your thought on that this morning. And you can go to Facebook.com and then find Gary Sutton Show and just go in there and answer the question. Thank you so much. You can check out all our podcasts at the end of the day, WOYK on YouTube, or Just a Voice on Main Street on YouTube. I'm still getting a couple developed now. They're going to be putting up there with Ted Check, who's going to be our first guest this morning. We've also got one going up. I'm trying to think. Warren Goodlean is going to be up there. So we've got a lot of interesting ones still to be put up, and I'm going to be doing a couple next week. So we're putting them up. Just go in there and check them. They're 30 minutes long if you'd like to see a good interview, and they're visual as well. Going back and forth on that. Our text number today is 833-478-4729. That's 833-478-4729. And you are welcome to join in with us on text. And also check out YorkRevolution.com for your ticket packages. Tonight, opening game. Opening game in Gastonia, North Carolina tonight. Of course, you had the draft results last week. We'll get into some of that this morning. But lots of great ticket packages for the 29th. The opening game here, opening day at Wellspan Park. And
that's Tuesday?
That's coming up on Tuesday, the 29th. So looking forward to that and getting back in the seat again. I haven't been there. I have to warm up the vocal cords. Mark always has some good exercises on that.
Well, what about, are you going to do your Vin Scully?
The 2-2 pitch low outside. No, I don't know. The Dodgers.
No?
No, I don't. I probably won't because I'll get in trouble.
Would Darryl
Daryl's
throw
my
you out?
boss now. Before he was just a young kid. Now he's
Right.
the boss. It's a whole different dynamic. He'll toss me out of the booth in a heartbeat. So.
Yes, I would have the baseball announcer voice.
Ooh, very nice.
There you go.
I love it. Very
low and outside.
much better than mine.
That's your ball.
I like it. Much better than mine. See, I'm coveting your voice there. See, so
Jeez, no.
yeah. Anyway, today is National Lingerie Day.
Is it?
I
you
don't know where
found
to
one
go with
I didn't find.
Well, it just came up this morning. There's one service.
No
that we have.
kidding.
National Lingerie Day.
There are a lot of days for today.
Yeah. For example,
If you know what I mean.
right? No, 16 days to Mother's Day. 28 days to Memorial Day weekend.
Oh, good. I've got time to get some.
Or when the pools open up. Yeah. I thought you already had gotten something, didn't you?
No, I got a card. I got a card for her, yes. But I think she likes, being from New England, she likes lobster rolls.
Oh, yeah.
And I think I got her a lobster roll last year.
Right.
I found this company.
Think you did. It didn't mean a whole lot to you.
Well, actually, she was all worried that
She is 90. I mean, they had a lot of Mother's Day presents.
She was worried it was going to arrive and not be, like it would be spoiled. But they pack these things.
Right.
They got you covered. So it worked out out very
That's being
well.
a mother, though. Worrying about,
Absolutely.
Good.
Absolutely.
Are you sending me botulism? I mean, is that what you're doing?
I did find, and I think I've talked about this before, not an endorsement, but Gold Belly is the name of the website, and they have all these specialty food items, and you know how food is important to me.
It's very important.
So if it's important to me, it's going to be important to somebody else.
Near addictive, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes.
They
have all kinds of really unique items, and and that's where I was able to, like, where would you get who would deliver?
And then new foods to analyze.
Yes, absolutely.
The Mackenzian process.
Absolutely. But anyway, you said it was Lingerie Day.
National Lingerie Day.
Oh, my.
I don't even know where to go with that.
How to celebrate.
I know. Oh, Lord. Sorry, Deb. I didn't mean he didn't know about it.
What might, anyway. It's
not. Oh.
I might get my cheeks red. It's Arbor Day.
Arbor Day. Yeah, that's
I didn't think about it much till I moved here.
Okay.
It was one of my earliest memories of Lancaster, it being Arbor Day.
Okay.
So I think I'd been here maybe 2 weeks, and Lancaster, I think, was Arbor City, USA or something.
Okay.
They have some sort of designation, which most cities that have even a couple of trees get. But anyway, Arbor Day.
Sure.
Child Professionals Day. Child Care Professionals Day.
Oh, okay.
Sitters, that kind of thing.
Good people.
It's DNA Day.
Okay.
Now,
what do we do on that?
That's a good question. I hadn't looked it up to see why it was DNA Day.
Yeah, I don't know.
I will look.
We'll have
look
to
into
decide,
that.
because I'm always a little intrigued as to what
why?
we're supposed to do.
Exactly.
That's always.
It is Hairstylist Appreciation Day. Do you have a hairstylist?
I do, but there's not much you can do. I'm well past. I mean, my hair's been in the grave for a while now, so it's.
Desiree is mine. And she recently left from Lancaster to York.
Yeah.
And she's working, I think, at the, it's called a hair cuttery.
Mine is Melanie, Mel for short. Yeah.
Well, Desiree, she just does a wonderful job.
Good.
And what's key for me is it's quick. She's quick.
Yeah, well, that's the same way with mine.
Some people.
And again, indicating what she has to work with.
Well,
there's not a lot. Like if I said try to do something, she goes, right. I can't.
Hey, speaking of hair, it is Hairball Awareness Day.
Or in my house, Friday.
Yes, really.
3 cats, yeah.
Can't imagine.
Yeah.
It is License Plates Day. And this, I did look up.
For those of you in prison that are having a good time.
Yes,
right. There you go.
I did look this one up. It's because in 1901, on this date, New York became the first U.S. state to require automobile license plates.
Good.
Yes. Yeah. It is, I guess I should have put this with the hair stylist.
Well, if it was New York, they're probably getting you to pay extra taxes anyway. So there you go.
How about this? It is National Mani-Pedi Day.
What? Is that pedicure?
Yes, manicure and pedicure. So your fingers and your toes. I've never had either.
Give up your man card.
I'm just,
give it up.
I know the ladies like them.
Yeah, well, somebody said I was out one day. My wife was getting a pedicure, and there's a guy and his wife sitting there getting one.
Oh,
said,
really?
And I looked at him. And I said, "Don't you have any respect for yourself? What's the matter with you?"
Well, he might have lost a bet.
Well, that's true. Yeah, he had to lose something, including his manhood. Whatever.
It is National Plumbers Day.
Okay. All I could think of is one thing. It's terrible. I thought it was hug a plumber today or something.
It could be.
Yeah. Which is why would you do that? I mean, unless you're Mrs. Plumber.
It's National Telephone Day.
Okay.
And later in this hour, we will have a clip from the 1936 newsreel. You don't think about these things, but they had to explain how when you picked up the phone,
right,
you were no longer going to be talking to Elvira at the local phones.
Oh my.
Is that, hello, Elvira? Yes. Oh, I want to talk to Joe. Okay. Which Joe is that?
Oh my.
The one on the other side of the tracks. Oh, okay.
I remember those days. I mean, where you had.
Do you?
I do remember some of that back even in the early 50s where I lived. Mm-hmm. It was like the early 50s, but it was really kind of more like the 1930s.
I see, yes.
Where I lived. It was a little behind. Yeah, in 45 years, I went back to visit a couple years ago. 45 years, you know what they added in this town? East Smithfield, up
light?
in northeastern Pennsylvania. Well, no, they had the one light. Still, no, I don't think they still had a light. I don't think they had any lights in this town. No, what they had, they added a convenience store, Bob's Convenience Store. That was it. And Bob's Convenience Store was like the super Walmart of that town. It was, people gathered there.
Like a Unimart?
You got it, yeah. It was Bob's.
Those?
Yeah, Bob's. Unimart, yeah.
And the only reason I mentioned Unimart was because I recently caught, and it is kind of fun to watch some old TV shows. WITF, the local PBS station, they air, I think it's on a Saturday night.
Right.
They air the remember the Pennsylvania game? It was a 30-minute show that they produced within the state somewhere. I think it was in Pittsburgh. And they had panelists on. There were 3 people, and they would be asked questions, and then they would have to guess one of the multiple choice answers.
Okay.
But these questions were all centered somehow around Pennsylvania.
Oh, very cool.
Hence the Pennsylvania game.
I would have watched that.
Yeah, and the great part is these were all shot in the early 90s. So the hairstyles, the clothes.
That's the fun part.
It was a very interesting. Some of these people were also, media types from the Harrisburg area. From the state. Anyway, their main sponsor was Unimart. And I thought, when was the last time you heard of it?
Isn't that funny you remember the things you remember?
Yes.
Well, our guest today on the show, Ted Check, checking in on things with the media. He's, of course, the author of Saving the Beast. And he'll be with us this morning talking about how to save the media. And, of course, we'll have Kevin Smith stopping by this morning. That'll be about 7:20 for a Good Friday. Bruce Bartz of Bart's Brigade, Mental Health Month. And Bruce has got an experience that's been pretty incredible.
I interviewed Bruce back in the day.
Great guy.
Yeah.
Great guy.
Interesting story.
He'll be with us today. And then we have Gracia Etienne, Dr. Etienne, former orthopedic surgeon, now the head of TMS and medicine and medical health. We'll talk about that this morning, and mental health, rather, and since it is Mental Health Month. Let's see what else we have today. We've got Jim McClure on some of the nonprofits that have been really, really important to York here over the years. Of course, we have Give Local York this time next week, and he'll be talking a little bit about that. And let's see, do we have Dr. Nick today? Dr. Nick is up today, although I didn't have him written down on there. Sorry, Dr. Nick. We didn't forget you. I just forgot to switch scripts because
is that what it was?
He was off last week because it was religious reasons. So it was.
You know what?
Yeah,
I didn't even think of that when
I know, and I didn't either. And that's, how quickly we forget them, right?
Well, you know what? Whose fault is that?
You miss once or twice.
That's right.
Yeah.
Whose fault is that?
Miss once or twice, not twice. Yeah, I mean, and that's right. And let that be a lesson. And so.
Pretty much.
Even though it was religious, I mean, we don't want to, I just like.
Oh, and by the way, it's DNA Day because on this date in 1953, Watson, Crick, Wilkins, Franklin, and other colleagues published papers in the journal Nature on the structure of DNA.
And with that, we'll go to a break. We'll come right back. We got a lot more coming your way. Interesting stuff throughout the morning, plus news, opinion, a few laughs along the way, and maybe even some news you might have missed. All here on the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK. It is the main street of America and York County. Back with more right after this.
On this team, we fight for that inch. On this team, we tear ourselves and everyone else around us to pieces for that inch. We claw with our fingernails for that inch. Because we know when we add up all those inches, that's going to make the difference between winning and losing. Between living and dying.
There you go, Al Pacino, in just one of the many clips that we could have played.
There are so many different Al Pacinos. There
true.
really are. I mean, there's the devil Al Pacino. There's the coach Al Pacino. He also played Joe Paterno, which was one of the most depressing movies I've ever seen. Now, he was that voice right there with a much slower gait. It was a much more drawn out. And then there's the icy cold Al Pacino in Godfather, at the end of Godfather 1 and all of Godfather 2. And then you got the Al Pacino that's kind of like this nutty kind of guy in
Like Scent of
The Scent of a Woman. Yeah, who's kind of, hoo-ah, that guy. But, and then you got the Godfather 3 Al Pacino, who's older. I try to get out, and they pull me back in. And you get that.
What is it? Say hello to my little friend.
Oh, there you go. Scarface.
Yes.
I mean, how could I miss that? Scarface, yeah. Say hello to my little friend. Yeah,
so many.
Oh my gosh! But he, talk about one of the gifted actors of all time.
It's his birthday today. He's 85 years old.
Didn't he just get married to a much younger lady?
I think you're right.
And I, if memory serves, I think they had a child.
Yes,
think
that is true.
fairly recently. Yes. So there you go.
Happy birthday to Al.
And probably has a lot of lawyers with him. It takes care of, Well, I'll tell you, if you want to talk about lawyers, we got a great lawyer firm, attorneys at law, Barley Snyder, representing our program because they are our title sponsor every single day. One of the things that was interesting to me about Barley Snyder, as I read about them, is in addition to providing financial support to numerous charitable organizations, their attorneys are committed to community leadership and volunteerism, and proud to report that on a yearly basis, they collectively volunteer more than 3,000 public service hours in various communities. And their attorneys contribute financially. They serve on boards. They volunteer for more than 200 organizations in the areas of education and social services, the arts, youth athletics, professional associations, and they do that with a smile on their face. And they also, by the way, represent you in a lot of different areas, be you an individual or a business. You need to give them a call today, right here in York at 717-846-8888. That's 717-846-8888. Or better yet, if you want to find out what area maybe they practice that you're interested in or that you need help in, go to barley.com. That's barley.com. They're open, by the way, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. here in York, 5 days a week. That's Monday through Friday. And they're closed on Saturday and Sunday. And you can also check them out again at 100 East Market Street right here in York. And please tell them Gary Sutton proudly sent you to Barley Snyder Law Firm, proud sponsor of this show right here on WOYK. Mark?
The clip that we used that you heard there with Al Pacino is from Any Given Sunday.
Right.
The locker room scene, some of it anyway. And of course, the big news story this morning, sports story anyway, the NFL draft last night.
Yeah.
And, of all the major sports, they try to replicate this in other leagues. It's just not the same.
No.
For some reason, the NFL, I mistakenly said the city that they were at last year. It was actually Detroit, where they had, I believe, over 300,000 visits there. And last night they were in Green Bay. They had over 100,000 already just on the first night. The place was packed. It was unbelievable. The fans that traveled.
I was watching it yesterday. It's amazing.
Yes, they come out of nowhere. They have all these, all dressed up, and they're rooting for one player to be drafted by their team that's going to change the whole thing. And what's great is the worst team picks first.
Yeah.
And the best team picks last in that round. Last night, the first round, Cam Ward, taken by the Tennessee Titans, quarterback from Miami, the Hurricanes. And no surprise there.
No.
The first surprise was that there hadn't been any pre-draft trades. But then seconds into last night's event, the Browns, who were at number 2, traded with the Jaguars. The Jaguars wanted Travis Hunter from Colorado. He is a two-way player, and he turned down other offers in college to play at other places because he's that talented. But he wanted to play for the coach of Colorado, Deion Sanders,
Deion Sanders,
because he was pretty much the last player to go both ways, to play offense and defense. And Travis is a gifted cornerback and receiver.
Yep.
And Jaguars got a special
Heisman Trophy winner.
Absolutely. Abdul Carter of the Nittany Lions, he went next. The Giants apparently not souring on, with Saquon Barkley.
Well, but
it's a different position.
Where Penn State players go to die.
Yes, pretty much.
New York Giants, yeah.
So Abdul Carter going to the Giants, who ended up making a big trade to pop back into the first round. Later at number 25, they took a quarterback. And of all people, the second quarterback in the draft taken was some guy named Jackson Dart from Mississippi, Ole Miss. And it was quite an event. A lot of linemen taken. I don't think there's a lot of, hoo-ha about, speaking of Al Pacino. But Tyler Warren, the Nittany Lions,
14th in the draft?
Yep, he went to the Colts. He was expected to be one of the top tight ends, and was. I
think because of his versatility, he's going to be a fun guy to have on the Colts. That would be interesting.
The Ravens, I think, got a little bit of a steal. They got Malaki Starks, and they needed a safety cornerback. So he will, and of course they can team him with the other big safety that they have. So they needed help on defense, without a doubt. The Eagles, picking at number 31, they chose Alabama linebacker Jahad Campbell. So
lots of good picks there, and we'll talk about some of that later on as we go through this all. But anyway, we are getting ready to switch over here, and we're going to bring in Ted Check this morning. And Ted is going to talk a little bit about 60 Minutes head honcho abruptly quits amidst a Trump lawsuit, and a Pennsylvania Amish are helping rebuild in North Carolina, not covered by the national media. Interesting story. Ted's going to bring that up this morning for you, all here on the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK. It is the main street of America and York County. Check us out. By the way, you can text us at 833-478-4729. Answer our question at Gary Sutton Show on Facebook. All kinds of ways to join us this morning and be interactive right here on WOYK, where it is 6:30. Place on Broadway?
Bee Gees.
Yeah. What day are we, or what year are we celebrating?
It is 1975, 50 years ago.
50 years ago. Wow.
Bumper music.
And this was kind of disco, right? I mean, this,
You know what? This
a
was
crossover.
this was right before that change.
I like because I like this Bee Gees sound. I didn't like the original one where they sounded like they were,
Yeah, they did a lot of slow songs. They did a lot of Lonely Days, Gotta Get a Message to You, that
Right.
kind of thing. And then they started to pick up the tempo. They did Jive Talkin', if you remember.
Yep.
And this song, those were kind of bridges to, although they always did, love songs, Too Much Heaven, that kind of thing.
Good chorus here, yeah.
On the nights on Broadway. Singing them.
Not as good as my Neil Diamond.
I played golf yesterday. My friend Doug Stewart was up from North Carolina, and he listens to the show. And he said, "I love when Mark puts those things on. I'm sitting there trying to think of the songs." He said he's sitting there going over a couple. He said, "Yeah, I really like that." So he said, "What was today?" I said, "1993 was today." So it was, yeah.
Well, I tell you,
Today's 75, obviously.
this was right before they started, and right after that. It was, You Should Be Dancing, if you remember.
yeah.
And stuff.
You should be dancing.
And that was from the, I believe it was from the Saturday Night Fever
Probably felt like you were with the
soundtrack,
Bee Gees when I sang that. Right?
I did.
Yeah, I could tell.
I did.
Yeah. Anyway, with that, we bring in this. I don't know if Ted Check does Bee Gees, but Ted Check this morning, former journalist, author of Saving the Beast, a recovering reporter, reflects on America's broken media and how to fix it. Good morning, Ted. How are you?
Hey, Gary. Yeah, I'm always singing falsetto, just not on the radio.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, you have the good decency to keep it to yourself, and not us. That's why we are semi-professionals here, Ted. We don't get the.
Right.
You're a professional. We're semi-professionals, and anyway, great to have you in this morning, my friend. How you doing?
Yeah. Great to be here.
Yeah, you had a couple different items you wanted to talk about today, and I found both of them very intriguing. So I'm going to give you a little room to do some open field running here, but I do want to remind people to check out your book, Saving the Beast, a recovering reporter reflects on America's broken media and how to fix it. And also, Ted and I did about a week or two ago, we did a podcast together, which is yet to be printed, but it will be up on the podcast. It's Just a Voice on Main Street, so keep checking it out on YouTube, and you'll see it up there. Just wanted to mention that, too, Ted, in case you thought I put you on witness protection. So there you go.
I'm eagerly anticipating it, Gary.
Me too.
Definitely.
And I know millions of people will be jumping into that. So there you go. But anyway, tell us a little bit about the whole 60 Minutes thing that happened this week.
Right. So the top executive at 60 Minutes, his name is Bill Owens. He abruptly quit the show this week. He says and the reason he did it, he can't go on anymore because he feels he's being hamstrung, I guess, by the people above him. And he cited a lack of journalistic independence. But the thing is, behind the scenes, we've got President Trump's lawsuit with 60 or CBS, or actually above that, the parent company is Paramount. It's a $20 billion lawsuit over the deceptively edited, or some would say deceptively edited CBS interview with Kamala Harris. I don't know if you remember that.
I do remember it, yeah.
Yeah. So he says that Trump says that was election interference. And I went back and forth with a guy on LinkedIn this week because the guy's got a big problem with the lawsuit because he said, well, Trump's a sitting president. I said he wasn't when he filed the lawsuit. He was a candidate, and he's saying that that this deceptive editing could possibly have swayed the election.
Yeah.
But what Owens might be referring to is that Paramount, she's a chairwoman, Sherry Redstone.
Yes.
She said something, she made a statement right after he quit, but she's been making statements prior to his leaving the show about, hey, freedom of the press doesn't mean you get free reign to just do whatever you want, and only putting one side of the story. I don't know if that for her includes deceptive editing, but that's kind of the implication there. So yeah, this is all very interesting stuff. We'll have to see how this lawsuit pans out because it could have very broad and deep implications for journalism.
Yeah, it's been really interesting to see what's happening here because the pressures that are on Paramount Global have basically said its controlling shareholder, who's Sherry Redstone, and the managers of one of the company's most valuable properties, which is the 60 Minutes, at odds with each other, as you've described. And it's going to be really interesting to see where this ends up. Sherry Redstone is a controlling shareholder of Paramount Global, and she basically, I guess, has taken increasing interest in 60 Minutes in recent months, where she had not before. And they said she did so as she attempts to navigate the sale of the company, known for owning CBS, the Paramount Movie Studio, to Skydance Media, which is controlled by entrepreneur David Ellison. And they say the sale, follow the money here, will be life-changing for Paramount, which has lagged behind its contemporaries and its audiences migrate away from once powerful cable networks like MTV and TV Land, and it will help Redstone maintain her family's fortune. See, the last line is the most important one there, maintain her family fortune. But,
oh, sure.
Yeah, so that's interesting. So what do you take away from that whole deal right there with 60 Minutes and obviously with Bill Owens?
Well, you're right about the money. I mean, money changes everything. I believe who was that? Cyndi Lauper? Money changes everything?
Yeah, something like that. There you go. You going to sing that?
Yeah. It's the ultimate motivator and the ultimate game changer. And so I think it sounds like, Paramount wants to get rid of this lawsuit and maybe settle quickly so that they can continue on with the sale of the company, because right now it's kind of an anchor that's dragging them down. But we come back, and then I come back to Bill Owens leaving. It's just where you fall on this in your opinions on how the press should operate.
Right.
He's saying it's a lack of journalistic independence. Others would say, no, it's actually more of like let's get you back to true journalism, where as I've said many times on your program here, it's getting it back to integrity and objectivity and being accurate and being fair.
I was reading
that's some would say we're gonna kind of return to this equilibrium that we had before.
I was reading this piece in Variety today, and it said Owens' departure, along with various staff rumblings that have accompanied it, is seen as a smoke signal of sorts to Redstone, a cautionary note about what could happen to the program if it's not allowed to continue in truly independent fashion. Other prominent personnel have also been vexed. Quote, I have been made aware of interference in our news processes and calling into question our judgment, unquote. That, according to Leslie Stahl, longtime correspondent, she told Variety that during an interview on Tuesday, then went on to say, quote, that is not the way the companies that own news organizations should be acting, unquote. So there you see the battle right there and the tensions between the two parts of this whole thing. You also had an Amish story this morning you wanted to tell that really hasn't been covered much by the media. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yes, I do have an Amish story. So we love the Amish.
We do.
And as many of us have witnessed, they're incredibly gifted with the way that when it comes to construction, when it comes to building barns,
absolutely,
houses, that they're efficient, they're effective, they're fantastic at it. So a group of them, I've heard as many as 2,000 of them have journeyed from Pennsylvania to North Carolina, because we know that area was devastated by Hurricane Helene. And they're just really helping out and really doing a great job of getting the communities there in North Carolina back up and running. But according to the Gateway Pundit, now that's a conservative website, but what they're saying is no national media has covered this. And so I did my own online search and pretty much found that to be the case. There's local affiliates that have covered it, and that's great, but no national, CBS, ABC, NBC, Fox, none of the national, news organizations have jumped onto it, and that's unfortunate. And then I think about, well, why is that? One could argue that maybe it's because the Amish are known as being conservative, and overwhelmingly they voted for President Trump, so they don't deserve the press.
Wow.
But the other, well, go ahead.
I guess they also figure that maybe they're not going to get the readership from the Amish that maybe you get because they kind of cloister themselves away from the world in a lot of ways, right?
Well, yeah, but I mean, I think a lot of people find them fascinating. You know?
They do. There's a great article this week out of the New York Daily Record, by the way, I was reading about with the Amish that they only go to school for 8 years. They got in some trouble, by the way, back around 1972 when the education department said, hey, you know, what's going on here? These people are only going to school 8 years. And then they came back and they had this whole school versus their religion versus their way of life. And I guess it was 1972. I'm trying to think what the guy's name was Yoder, strangely enough. I mean, Yoder is like one of the names that you hear with the Amish all the time. And it was 1972, Wisconsin versus Yoder, which reached the Supreme Court. And the justices ruled in favor of the Amish education system, which allowed a child's education to end after the 8th grade. And the court's decision was rooted in the American right to freedom of religion. And so what they do is they go to work right away after that to get used to what hard work is really all about. And fascinating people, as you said. But we were just talking the other day about this. I was on the golf course with somebody, and somehow this came up about the Amish. A friend of mine. I was having dinner the other night. That's it. My friend of mine named Rich Weeder, who hauls the Amish around because a lot of them don't drive their own cars and vehicles. He basically gets them around to various things. He has all kinds of trucks and stuff and helps them with various jobs. He said a fascinating, neat group of people, but they really band together in their community to help each other and move around. And here they're leaving and going down and helping a whole lot of people who are devastated by the floods in North Carolina, which is a great story. But and you would think it would be out there a little bit more than it is, but it's not. So I don't know.
Well, yeah, and sometimes good news. That's what happens to good news. You know, we have a saying, and I know you're familiar with it. If it bleeds, it leads. Yeah. So if it's terrible, devastating news, you know, it's like the train wreck that you can't help but watch. Looky loos. You know, when you see something on the highway, you got to look at it. So it could be that the recovery of a disaster is not nearly as sexy as the devastation itself.
You know, we love good news in our show. We love to talk about it. We love to bring it up. Yeah. And I wonder about what is there a reason? Do you think it's a concerted reason, or is it just the fact that seems kind of like, that's so, every day. That's so Pollyannish. It's so boring. Why would media? And I'm not saying anybody's making a concerted effort to block this out. Don't get me wrong. But why would media not want to cover something like this? Why would this not be a good story to make you feel good? Is just have we become so involved with the national politics and all that this isn't even on the choice list anymore? What's your thought on that?
Yeah, I mean, I truly believe that I don't think it was a concerted effort to ignore them. I think it's just, it like you said, it wasn't on the media's radar. I think it'd be perfect for, the end of kind of the nightly news. The last story that they do is kind of a feel-good story, kind of a lighter story, and on a high note. This would be perfect for that. But I just think the national media just kind of moves in a pack, and it moves around the country. Whatever's hot, that's what they're covering. And so they had moved on, I think, from Helene. They covered it well when it occurred, and shortly thereafter, and then they moved on. I think that's just the way that it goes, so this kind of coverage, the continuing coverage is left to the local affiliates. But yeah, it is a shame that the mainstream or the national press didn't pick it up. Hopefully they will. Hopefully they'll give it some coverage because, as far as I know, they're still there.
And I was reading this article as I was saying. It's funny you brought this up this morning because I read this article and this guy Yoder says, "Hey," he said, one of the things that happens after 8 years of education, you then go out, you learn how to be a productive citizen of your community, your family, and your church in those next few years. You learn a trade, you learn how to work with your hands, and for him that meant working in his father's sawmill, then for a construction company. So, you think now and then, you talk about practical, here's practical, that a lot of these kids that come out of college and stuff now, maybe if we had a little bit more of the practical side added in with the other side, maybe that might not be a bad combination for success, right?
I think that's a fantastic idea. Yeah, I wish I had more of that, knew how to fix things, take things apart, put them back together. That would have been great. And I'm always impressed when I find out. Like a buddy of mine from college, his dad owned a service station and a garage. It was kind of a combination. You don't see too much anymore. But he learned about cars, just by hanging out at the garage and learning from his dad and everything. And that's something that he, continues to use to this day.
And rounding right back to where you started with in this story, this guy Yoder, as I was reading this morning, his life took an unexpected turn after you went through all those things I just mentioned, and a pleasant turn when he received the opportunity to earn an undergraduate degree from Ohio State University, then was accepted into a graduate program at Yale. Even after his education, the lessons he learned from the plane life have stayed with him. He said, the last two houses that we've had, I built myself. I learned that in those years between the ages of 13 and 20, he said that was a time where he really learned a lot about life. So, it goes back to what you said, building a house. Well, he built it himself. But in this case, a whole lot of people are down helping people who, were really under it after the floods in North Carolina. Great stories this morning, Ted. Good stuff. Thank you so much. And I do want to remind people to check your book out. They can go out and find it at any good bookstore right now. It's called Saving the Beast. A recovery report reflects on America's broken media and how to fix it. It's a great book, great read. Ted Czech, Czech. Check it out. Former journalist and author, and with us every week here, proudly on the Gary Sutton Show. Hey, my friend, have a great weekend.
Okay, thanks, Gary. You too.
Take care. Ted Czech here this morning on WOYK. We'll take a break. We'll come back. Mark's got news under the radar right around the corner, lurking here on the Gary Sutton Show. Okay. All right. Gotcha.
Sports Radio 98.9 and 1350 WOYK weather, some clouds today. Slight chance of afternoon showers, high near 78. Tonight, showers and thunderstorms likely, low around 72. Saturday, showers and possibly a thunderstorm, high near 74. Sunshine returns Sunday with a high near 68. Monday, sunny, high near 73. Good morning, this is Sports from Radio PA.
Valley this morning. I'm still too sick to leave the house. I will catch up with you guys next week with a more solid schedule.
Sick.
Yep. Sick yesterday and today.
Rounds 2 and 3 take place tonight with the rest of the draft wrapping up tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
The Phillies are back on the big league diamond this afternoon. The team squares off against the Cubs in the first of 3 games from Wrigley. Eastern Conference NBA.
I'm not the greatest guy on excuses, unfortunately, but
Next season, the 76ers and Knicks clash in a pair of preseason
I
games.
had a kid one time in school,
The league announced yesterday that game 1 will be
didn't get his homework done for the 4th time. I said, what happened? He said, my grandfather died. I said, that's the 4th time this month. He must be really sick.
The club kicks off against DC United at home. Philadelphia is coming off a shutout win over Atlanta and sits 5th in the East with 16 points. And that's sports. I'm Blue Flares. COVID-19 impacted a lot of things this year, including regular vaccination appointments. Vaccines help protect you and everyone around you, especially during flu season. Schedule an appointment with your healthcare provider today to make sure you and your children are vaccinated. Vaccines keep us safe and they work. Skip the flu this year. Get your vaccination today. Let's stay protected together. For more information, visit health.pa.gov. Paid for with Pennsylvania taxpayer dollars. That's right.
It's more important than ever to stay healthy and save money.
Oh,
The Medicare Preventive Services Program.
That was a good Boy, you're clicking this morning. Love the music. This will be an everlasting love, huh?
Natalie Cole.
Oh, yeah. She can sing. Of course, the daughter of Nat King Cole.
You know, I had a chance to meet her and chat with her once, and
she had some demons that she wrestled with.
She did.
Yeah.
Like all
humans. All of us.
Yeah, that's exactly
Just
right.
thinking the same thing, yeah.
But this was her first big hit.
This will be everlasting love. This will be.
Very talented. Very, very talented.
So earlier we mentioned that it's World Telephone Day, or wait a second, let me get it right.
Yeah.
Let me get it right.
We don't want to be going off here,
National Telephone Day.
National Telephone Day.
National Telephone
Very
Day.
nice.
So I like to dig back and, see what did the past have to say. And this is a 1936 newsreel. It's AT&T explaining to movie house audiences back then how to use the new dial tone.
Oh, my.
Right? And it features a girl doing a demonstration while they
It's one
talking.
ringy-dingy?
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh, no.
Check this out.
The telephones in this city will be changed to dial service, and all telephone numbers will be changed. Before calling any number, first secure the number from your new directory. Then remove the receiver and listen for the dial tone. It sounds like this.
Ooh.
With the receiver off the hook, dial the desired number. Be sure to allow the dial to freely return to its normal position. And this is the ringing signal.
Oh, my. It's like the ring
If
of
the line
doom.
is busy, you'll hear this busy signal.
Yeah.
See?
And right after that, you hear, your call is very important to us. The greatest lie in American history, right?
Well, here it was. It was brand new technology.
Yeah, so what we would consider today, and I even think about that back then.
That's right.
Had to explain it.
Exactly.
So you put on your shoes, you pull the knot and tie it. And,
Let's do under the radar. Let's head first to some health news. A lot of that this morning.
okay.
This is House Call for Health. Teens who get more sleep could have sharper mental skills than their peers. A study of more than 3,000 adolescents published in Cell Reports shows teens who went to bed earlier, slept longer, and had lower sleeping heart rates outperformed their peers in reading, vocabulary, problem solving, and cognitive tests. The American Academy of Sleep Medicine says teens from ages 13 to 18 should have at least 8 to 10 hours of sleep a night. Sleep experts recommend teens who have difficulty getting proper sleep should regularly exercise and avoid cell phones or computers late in the evening. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention also says kids and adolescents who don't get enough shut-eye are at risk for health problems like obesity, type 2 diabetes, poor mental health, and injuries. And like the study mentions, poor academic performance. For more health news, go to foxnewshealth.com. House Call for Health. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News.
See, here's the thing with that story. All right.
Okay.
It's the only thing harder than getting a kid, a teenager, to go to bed early or to get enough sleep.
Right.
The only thing harder is getting them up.
Yeah, that's true.
So it's, I appreciate the information, but at the same time,
Let's get real.
yeah, really.
Yeah, I mean,
if somebody should invent something that will do one or the other or both, maybe.
I came across a story this morning that was, what's something that women think is embarrassing but men don't actually care about?
Okay.
That's most things. But
Sure.
it said I asked that because it's going around the web right now. So here are some things. For example, do you remember passing gas in fifth grade and everybody in the room would go
yes.
crazy? So number one, people seeing your house not being perfectly cleaned. If someone comes to your house, guys, it's like, it's close enough.
Yeah.
Women, it's no. Look, sneezing naturally. Several ladies I know hold their sneezes in. Yes.
Yes.
Farts and burps. Guys,
Yes.
you generally, it's, but women are just like, oh my God,
There
it's
is
mortifying.
There is a volume
Well, there is.
measure to that.
That's true. Their driver's license photo. Men, it's like, here you go.
Yeah.
Women are, did I have the right dress on? That re-wearing the same outfit. Guys, hey, yeah.
Well,
it doesn't stink that bad. And,
within reason.
yeah. Or being at a party and wearing the same outfit as someone else. Women
Yeah.
get crazy about that. Anything fashion related, women can get nuts about. An acne flare up. Guys are like, no, just pop it. Women are, it's really, oh my gosh, life as we know it's coming to an end. Scars, stretch marks, or cellulite. Guys go, and women go, oh my gosh. Their tummy pouches or bellies in general. Eating a lot and finishing your plate. Also, eating in front of people in certain cases. Body hair. Ugh. Going to celebrations without gifts for the host. Maybe men should put more thought into social gestures like that. I don't know. And audible toilet blasts. And finally, well, no, I won't use the last one there.
Thank you.
It had to do with mammarial assets. Okay. Small compared to sagging, compared to larger, compared to asymmetrical.
Okay.
Yeah,
but I mean,
we'll let it go with that. It sounded much more diplomatic the way I said
You
that.
actually did. I'm very surprised.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that, and darn glad I did too. Frankly.
So what's going on next hour?
Bruce Bartz joins us next hour. Bartz Brigade. He had a son who committed suicide years ago and started Bartz Brigade. It's Mental Health Month coming up in May, and Bruce is going to talk about his experience this morning with his son and what he's been doing since. Bruce is one of the busiest guys you're ever going to want to meet, but he's a great guy, and a great interview coming up next with Bruce Bartz of Bartz Brigade. And what else do we have next hour, Mark?
Well, we're all going to hear a little bit more about the NFL draft from last night.
Plus kindness. Kevin Smith will stop by for a Good Friday, all here on the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK. But first we take a news break. It's 7 o'clock.
York's only local show is back on its new home on York's only local station.
Guess who's back again.
This is the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK.
I'm back.
Now, broadcasting live from WOYK's downtown York studios inside Wellspan Park, here's Gary Sutton.
And it is a Friday morning here on the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK, the main street of America in York County, where it is 7:05 this morning, 52 degrees on Brooks Robinson Plaza. Today, opening day of the season for the York Revolution as they play in Gastonia tonight. Listed Darrell this evening, and then, of course, next week, the 29th, opening day right here at Wellspan Park. I'm a little tingly, Mark.
Yeah,
a little
how exciting. Yes.
Yeah, and so we're getting all ready to go, but I'm hoping the Revs do well tonight. I've seen them a few times so far this preseason, and they look pretty good. So we'll see how they do in Gastonia this evening. Of course, you can check out Darrell here. What's our airtime there? Do we know, Mark?
I don't, but
we'll get that airtime for you. I think it's at 6:45, but I'm not positive.
Now, the team, does it work differently? Like most teams have a base personnel, but is it they have to re-sign everybody every year?
Well, no, they have two players back from last year, and a couple players who were here a year before that, played for the team last year, and now back again. And so it's primarily a brand new team. But some of the names are people that they will be checking out. But one name I will give you, the name Tostado, who has been hitting home runs. The opening 3 games, he hit 3 home runs. I mean, I watched this guy. This guy has as quick a hands as you've ever going to see. And I think he's going to be an exciting player to watch this year. But what time is our airtime tonight?
It is, tonight it is 6:40.
6:40.
They're playing the Ghost Peppers.
The Ghost Peppers of Gastonia, North Carolina.
So 6:40 tonight.
We just run around and say, ouch, ouch, ooh, ouch, ouch, ouch. No, yeah.
3:40 on Sunday, and then the home opener, 6 p.m. They're taking on the Stormers.
Yeah.
Who dropped the word barn.
Yeah, we did. But we still know what it means. Yeah, the Stormers. Anyway, this show being brought to you by Barley Snyder Law Firm. They feature a wide variety of practice areas, industry groups, service teams, all geared toward one thing, helping you achieve your business goals. Check them out today at barley.com or give a call here in York to 717-846-8888 and find out if they have an area of law that is something that you're going to be dealing with in your life every day.
One more quick thing.
Go ahead.
Food holiday today. We didn't mention it. Not the greatest. I mean, it's National Zucchini Bread Day.
I mean, zucchini bread's good. My wife makes a mean zucchini bread.
It doesn't have any flavor.
Oh, it does.
What?
They put a little touch of stuff in there. Oh, yeah.
Boy, that's the
And
best
they put some
zucchini
nuts in
I've
there.
had in a while. Nobody
I'm
says
telling
that.
you're being a little profiling going on here with the
That's
zucchini
ridiculous.
bread. Outstanding.
Do you put nuts in it?
She puts nuts in it. Yes.
Okay, what kind of nuts?
It's okay. Just my wife is at home. I can see. Honey, I'm sorry. I can see her in tears right now. I'm telling you, it's good stuff.
What does it taste like?
There's different kinds of zucchini bread too. People have their own little homemade things they put into them. How can you mock zucchini bread?
I will say this: if there was a piece here, I would eat it.
I know you would. You are open minded in trying things like that, but
I'm not dreaming.
The fact
of
that you went out there and just
pumpkin bread.
Think
now
of
that's
the kids
different.
right now who are listening this morning. Think of parents who are not going to make zucchini bread because you tore it all down.
Zucchini
tell you
bread.
what,
Who decided that was a good idea?
Somebody came up with it. I think it was a really good thing. There was a visionary. Someone held down the grass on the path. They had to be the first ones, right? There you go. Anyway, for all you zucchini bread makers out there, it's just Mark. I like it. Anyway, welcome back. It is 7:08 here. May is Mental Health Month. And one of the ways we wanted to take a look at it this morning here is with our good friend Bruce Bartz. And Bruce Bartz, a constable now, who tells me he's retired, but not really. He's finding out that when you get retired, you get more busy than you were when you were at work. Good morning, Bruce. How you doing, my friend?
I'm doing really well. You hit the nail on the head. And I would love to try some of your wife's zucchini bread.
Thank you, Bruce.
Side.
See, there you go, Mark. Bruce is there helping out again, as always. So, yeah. No, you've had zucchini bread, right?
Absolutely.
And your thoughts about it, were they the same as Mark's rant and rave here?
I couldn't hear Mark, but every zucchini bread is different. It's up to the baker.
Well, that's
up to the baker.
Boy, you're a politician. That was diplomatic. It's up to the baker. But you're right. I mean, it is different. I've tasted some zucchini breads where they were a little dry. I went, I'd sooner eat cardboard. And then I have other zucchini breads that have all kinds of great, rich taste in. Very similar, like a carrot cake kind of thing. So that's kind of where I've gone with the richer kind of zucchini bread. Put a little butter on it, warm it up for 10 seconds in the microwave. Everything has to go in the microwave. And you got yourself a little joyful 10 minutes of eating there. So anyway, hey, I wanted to talk to you, though, about something you've been on for a long, long time. And you have firsthand experience with this. The Bart's Brigade. A lot of people have heard of the Bart's Brigade around the community. They know what you're doing. But you had an experience here that kind of led you to start Bart's Brigade. And tell people a little bit about this and some of the things that you're doing right now in terms of education, prevention, and awareness of suicide, especially with a focus on adolescents and young adults.
Actually, August 19th, it'll be 10 years. 10 years, I lost my son, Trent, to suicide. And, Gary, I made up my mind that this something's got to change. I don't want a parent, a sibling, anybody ever to feel, I mean, my worst enemy, I don't want them to feel how I felt for losing a child. And it's a different loss when you lose someone to suicide. So we formed this organization called Bart's Brigade, and we do whatever we can to help people with their mental health. And, when you talk about mental health, people think of schizophrenia and, paranoia and all those different diagnoses, but they forget about anxiety and depression. And, so if you really think about mental health, there's not a soul in this world that hasn't experienced some type of sadness or some type of anxiety. So we all have it. We all have it. Go ahead. I
was reading about your son, and your son is a guy who sounded like he was like the all-American boy. I mean, he was, doing stuff all the time. He was an active member of his community. Sounds like he gave his all in just about everything he did. Known for his passion for the country, devotion to what it meant to be an American. Had all kinds of gifts going on. So when we look around and we say, well, someone is gets depressed or commits suicide because it's all down, that didn't look like your son, did it?
Oh, absolutely. Those who die by suicide, you would never suspect. I mean, and full disclosure, Trent had his demons too. He had his issues, but for the most part, he would never suspect. And he had been diagnosed with depression and anxiety, but we thought we'd work through it. And it's not those with those serious diagnoses that die by suicide. It's your people you would never suspect. It's your student athletes. You've coached basketball before. You're connected to sports right now with mental health and that sports anxiety and performance anxiety. And people that die by suicide feel like they just can't do it well enough for everybody else. And nothing can be further from the truth is especially in Trent's case. The way I describe it is for us is you take your worst moment, the worst sadness you ever felt, your worst anxious moment, and you multiply it by infinity, and that's someone who's died by suicide. That's what they're feeling.
Well, you talk about talk about mental health. I mean, I came out some years ago and said, I've suffered from depression most of my life, and I've had some serious depression about 26 years ago, and had to go through it and had to admit to myself I needed some help because I think a lot of times there's this stigma of, well, if I go get this help somehow, I'm giving up my man card, or I can't control things. And you start to realize that there are diseases out there and there are things out there that are going to hurt you that you can't just go onto the island there and figure it all out by yourself sometimes. And if you can, if we somehow as a community can see that hurt, and if others and see some of the telltale signs, and if others who are suffering through that are willing to be receptive to help, there's some hope here, right?
Absolutely. And that's the first step, especially, said about you losing your man card. Us men are afraid to admit, I'm struggling. I need help because we might lose that man card or somebody might look at us differently. We as a society need to stop judging people for that.
Oh, absolutely.
I am no different than anybody else. I spend my mornings every morning. I do my tears for my son.
Yeah.
And I'll never be afraid to admit that to anybody. Now, prior to Trent dying,
Yes.
I probably was afraid to admit that. But, and it starts at an early age, too. As me being a constable right now, we do some mental health transports. And this is astonishing, Gary. I've taken kids as young as 6 years old and transported them with mental health issues.
When you're young, and I remember when I was a kid, and I used to get these periods of blackness and grayness, and I would wonder, what is that about? And I go talk to my mom about it because I didn't understand it. And then later on, as I watched my dad, who was a principal for 23 years, every now and then I'd see him in the afternoon lying on his bed crying. I go, what is that about? Dad, what's going on? And he couldn't really talk about it. And it was, again, it was depression. And it was one of those things where, he had to have that time, but he could not go out and say, hey, here's what I have, because people would look at it badly. And I remember when I announced on the radio years ago that I had that, I thought, am I going to lose my job over this? But then, what was interesting was how many people wrote in and said, well, wait a second, if you have it and you can deal with it, maybe I can too. And so that people saw it from a different point of view. And I had to go get some help with that at an earlier time. And now I'm down to a minuscule thing I have to do every day, but it's minuscule compared to where I was. And, so when we look at this, it's one of those things that people still don't understand, but what it can lead to, as in the case of your son, is tragic, and we want to be out ahead of that, and that's one of the things you're trying to do. I know with Bart's Brigade right now, Bruce.
Absolutely. I look at Trent. Trent was on medication, but
Yep.
line 17 on his application into the military. Have you ever sought psychological help for depression and anxiety?
There you go. Yeah.
And he looked at me when he filled out the application, and he said, I said, Trent, that's up to you. You need to do what you need to do to get where you want to be. And he checked no.
Yeah.
I'm not blaming anybody. It was his choice to do what he did. But how could he have still maybe be alive if he was able to check yes, be a part of the military, and still get the help that he needed to have a successful career in the military to defend his country that he loved so much,
And I know.
So, the stigma's got to go. The stigma has just got to go.
And I know later on they did make him a corporal in the 203rd Military Intelligence Battalion, right, of the United States Army. So that was something posthumously that was awarded to him. But I imagine you'd like to have removed that word posthumously and have people be out in front of that and say, hey, a little bit better look at things. We might have had a different outcome, right?
Absolutely. He'd have a lot more stripes if he was still with us.
Bruce, as you look at what people can do right now, mental health coming up, and you've studied this a lot over the years, and obviously you have a firsthand unfortunate experience about all this. You remember your son, you do a lot of this in honor of him. What do you tell people? What do you say to people when you meet them? And you and I've met a couple of times, and I still have a lot of the coins that you hand me each time that I see you, and I treasure those. But what do you tell people about suicide and about mental health, and what are the things they need to know so we get out in front of things, and with Trent in mind?
I think the biggest message we can send people is that no matter what end of the spectrum you're on, you're not alone, and it's okay to, in the infamous words of a gentleman who jumped off the Golden Gate Bridge and survived. It's okay not to be okay. It's okay to talk about it. It's okay to seek help. And I will listen to you all day long. I'd rather do that than come to your funeral. And the world is a better place with you. It's as simple as that. Whether you think so or not, the world is a better place with you. You have your place in this world.
When I met my wife and we were getting ready to get married, and we were talking about, things that we brought with us to the marriage, and one of the things I'm bringing with me in marriage is this depression. And I remember, and you talk about you're not alone, but when you have depression, you feel terribly alone. I mean, it is about as and I'll say this in a way that it'll sound bad, but it's not meant to. It's very selfish. It's very inward looking. It's very lonely. And when you have it, you don't necessarily know what set it off. You might be in a good mood one moment, all of a sudden it's wham, and it's just it is a disease. But I remember the first time that I had an attack, and my wife hugged me and didn't say a word. And the next day we were sitting there talking about it, and she said to me, "I'm glad you have that." And I went, "What?" She said, I'm glad you have what you have. I said, why? She said, because it makes you human. And it reminds you that we all have to deal with things. We all have different anchors that we carry around with us. We all have different conditions. We all have different problems. And it's just that happens to be the thing that you have to deal with in your lifetime. And I think when we can tell people that, Bruce, it does make things a little bit better in saying, okay, I'm dealing with something here. And in that way, as you said, you aren't alone, even though when it happens to you, you feel very alone, right?
Yeah, someone who dies by suicide, first of all, people that die by suicide, they don't want to. And I can tell you right now, because, Gary, I did CPR on my son.
Wow.
And I can tell you the look on his face was a look of regret. He didn't want to do that, but they know no other way out. And they feel that they are nothing but a burden to anybody else. And they feel so alone. And us that don't have that end of the spectrum, we can't imagine what they're feeling. We have no idea. So we can't, when somebody comes to us and says, hey, I'm really sad, unless we've been there, we can't look at them and go, hey, I know how you're feeling. You'll be fine. You'll get over it. I'm still trying to understand it. I to this day don't understand it. Sometimes I look at people and I go, well, wait a minute, what's your problem? You can go out and do, oh, wait a minute. Maybe it is depression. Maybe it's anxiety.
It is the quiet disease. Bruce, really appreciate you being with us this morning, my friend. Always good talking. Let's do it again soon. But again, good thoughts about your son that's driven you to do something positive for other people. And I think that's the important thing. People can go to the website. Tell them about the website very quickly, where they can go to find this.
So, bartsbrigade.com. We have some resources available on there. And we have a Facebook page at Bart's Brigade. Where we post our events and stuff like that. The biggest thing, too, Gary, is 988.
Yep.
If people are feeling that way, 988, they will get somebody. They can talk to somebody. We can get you help.
My friend.
We can get you immediate help.
988. Thank you, my friend. I appreciate it. BartsBrigade.com. Check it out, or Bart's Brigade on Facebook. We'll talk again soon, and be well. Okay, my friend?
Thank you, Gary. It's always good talking to you.
You too. Bruce Bartz here on the Gary Sutton Show on WOIK, where it is 722.
Fox Sports Update.
2 quarterbacks picked in the first round of the NFL Draft. Good morning, I'm Jared Max. Cam Ward from Miami went first overall to the Tennessee Titans. Jackson Dart from Ole Miss taken 25th by the Giants, who with the 3rd selection got edge rusher Abdul Carter from Penn State. The Raiders took running back Ashton Genty from Boise State. Two-way star Travis Hunter from Colorado was taken 2nd by the Jaguars, who traded up with the Browns to get that pick. Hunter's college teammate, quarterback Shedeur Sanders, not drafted in the first round. Rounds 2 and 3 tonight in Green Bay. NBA playoffs, monumental comeback, 2nd largest ever in an NBA playoff game. The Oklahoma City Thunder trailed the Memphis Grizzlies by as many as 29 points. It was 67-40 Memphis late in the second quarter when Grizzly star Ja Morant suffered a hip contusion and was lost for the game. In the second half, Memphis totaled fewer points than it had scored in each of the first 2 quarters individually. The Thunder outscored the Grizzlies after halftime 63-31 to win the game 114-108 and go up 3-0. Game 4 tomorrow. In Detroit, the Knicks beat the Pistons 118-116 for a 2-1 series lead. Karl Anthony Towns scored 31 for New York, which got 30 points from Jalen Brunson. Game 4 Sunday in Detroit, where the Pistons have now lost 8 straight playoff games since 2008. In their first playoff game at their new home Intuit Dome, the Clippers clobbered the Nuggets in Game 3, 117-83. Los Angeles leads 2-1. Game 4 tomorrow. Hockey, 2nd straight overtime win for the Maple Leafs over the Senators, 3-2. Toronto up 3-0. The Blues got within 2-1 against the Jets. Pavel Buchnevich scored a hat trick in St. Louis's 7-2 win. The reigning Cup champion Panthers went up 2-0 on the Lightning with a 2-0 win in Tampa. Kirill Kaprizov scored 2 more goals for the Wild, who beat the Golden Knights 5-2 for a 2-1 series lead. Kaprizov tied for the playoffs lead with 7 points in 3 games. It's Game On with the Fox Sports app, available wherever you download apps. I'm Jared Max.
Get more on the Fox Sports app and foxsports.com.
This hour being brought to you by Kindness Worldwide. Kevin Smith, the founder of that. You can find him at kindnessworldwide.org. And Kevin's here this morning with us. And Kevin, busy week coming up. We've got Give Local York, the big give coming up at the end of the week down here at the stadium. A lot of that's going to be going on. Talk a little bit about what's happening here this week. It is a Good Friday today, not the Good Friday. That was last week. But, a little bit about what's going on this week and your thoughts about it as you look ahead.
I'm really excited about Give Day coming up May 1st to May 2nd. Last year, they raised $5.2 million for over 300 nonprofits in our community. And I have no doubt the bar is going to be even higher this year. So I'm excited about it. Lisa Barstring is excited about it. As you may know, Kindness Worldwide is a presenting sponsor of Give Local York this year. And when you think about a culture of kindness in our community, you can't have a vibrant community without the support of meaningful nonprofit organizations. They all, in their own way, kindness is a fuel. I think that is core to their missions. They all do a variety of different things for the betterment of our community, just like kindness. I mean, there's kindness, variety is the spice of life. There's no right way or wrong way for kindness, and they do it differently, but they all make our community better. And it's just a wonderful 24 hours to support them, to say, thank you for all that they do for us, and to be generous and giving back, because they really make our community a better place and a much more vibrant community.
I know they've got a guy coming in. You're attracting attention nationwide now. Guy coming in to do a documentary next week here in New York on kindness, and I think we're going to have him on our show as well. But tell people a little bit about that.
We're real excited about it. Elgin Cahill is a very well-known, regarded movie director. He's a great storyteller, and he's just really excited about the story of Kindness Worldwide, which is really our story. The title of the documentary is going to be called For Such a Time as This, referencing 9:57 a.m. when this act of kindness occurred. There were many serendipitous moments where people entered the story at just the perfect time. And this is really a wonderful time for our country and our world, with all the divisiveness and all the things that have happened, to bring people together. So that title has many connotations, but it's going to be an uplifting story. It's going to be our story. This story's not over. We're going to welcome the audience into the story, because the future chapters that have yet to be written, I'm convinced, are going to be the most beautiful part, and we're all going to write those chapters together.
And finally, your thoughts this week for people as you look ahead to this week, leading up to the Big Give. I always still call it the Big Give. I don't know if it's still called that, but I call it the Big Give on Thursday and Friday. What would you tell people for this coming week?
Well, share your stories. There's so many stories of kindness out there. In fact, there's a kindness prize, $2,600 prize for a story of kindness that the community can submit about a nonprofit organization that's had a profound impact on their life in some way. We want to hear those stories, so submit them at Give Local York on the website. Anyone who's nominated or has a story will receive a part of the kindness pool, kindness stretch pool. But in general, just everyone has a story of kindness. And I think the more stories that are revealed and are told has a way of inspiring others and bringing more kindness. And those stories are out there. We want to hear them.
And I know we'll have a special guest on Monday in your place. You're getting a couple days off here to get ready and juiced up for the end of the week. But we're looking forward to hearing more about kindness. You can't hear enough about that each and every day. Thanks for all you're doing. Thanks for being involved with, Give Local York, because that certainly is huge next week. $5 million last year, looking to surpass that this year. And, of course, people can find you at kindnessworldwide.org. All kinds of great stories out there. And don't forget to be kind wherever you get a chance this week. Kevin Smith, always good to have you aboard, my friend. Thank you so much.
No, thank you, Gary. Appreciate you, and have a wonderful weekend.
Thank you. Kindnessworldwide.org. Check it out today and figure out some way you can be kind to someone today. Maybe pass it on. Pay a bill. You see a veteran, maybe buy lunch. Whatever it might be. There's so many different things around. You see someone down in their luck today. Just maybe help them out. Okay. This hour being brought to you by Kindness Worldwide, and you can find them again at kindnessworldwide.org. So glad to have Kevin Smith aboard, and a very proud sponsor here on this show.
What's coming up?
We have Dr. Gracia ATN coming up next. We talk about your wellness. Yeah, we're doing a lot of that in this hour. Your wellness, kindness, right? We talked about depression, and we can talk about what we can do to help you maybe if you get into that world as well, by no fault of your own many times. All here on the Gary Sutton Show. Back with more right after this. The big buildup.
Yeah, this was one of those one-hit wonders. They were never to be heard from again. Jigsaw was the name of the group, but the song was Sky High, and it actually did do that. It went sky high.
Yeah.
Maybe not as high as
State of Light.
Zucchini bread, but
I'm just telling you, you're missing out. You're just missing out. By the way, you're also missing out. I got my I went out yesterday and got my Mitsubishi Outlander cleaned for the first time. I ran it through the wash. You'd be proud of me, Mark. I ran it through the wash. Then I took it through the manual cleaning part and let people do it, and I inspected. And I'm telling you what, that thing is so good. I found myself looking at my car all over again, going and just smiling from ear to ear. I love this car. I mean, I'll tell you what, the mileage is good on it. It drives easily. And I got it from GM Balvo Mitsubishi right down here at the corner of Roosevelt Avenue and Route 30 in New York. Now, part of that is I'm a little prejudiced because GM Balvo family of dealerships has been doing New York a great service for a long time with all the various car dealerships they have. But they just purchased GM Balvo Mitsubishi and GM Balvo Kia right down there at the corner. And I tell you what, are they doing a great job? They got a wonderful inventory right now down there of Mitsubishi cars like my Outlander. Now, I bought a 2024 one, but they got the 2025 models out there as well. And they got all kinds of different things available for you. And all you have to do is stop on down there right now and see the good people down there at 1305 Roosevelt Avenue in New York. And while you're there, check out the array of Kias as well. Yeah, they've got all 220 different vehicles available. Great finance options. They're going to value your current vehicle today. Grand reopening is going on right now, and you can visit their new state-of-the-art facility down there. Now, they are open, the hours of information here, they are open, I believe, from 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. each and every day. But they are ready to help you right now purchase a brand new car. And a good time maybe to do that with all the talk about tariffs and everything else. Now, you can give them a call. It's 717-539-5687. That's 717-539-5687. Or stop down, I said the wrong time, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. today, 1305 Roosevelt Avenue in New York. Great service. Great name behind the sale, GM Balvo. It's a name you can always trust here in New York. And, just great cars. I had a friend last night that looked at my car and said, I've been thinking about buying one like that. He said, that is really, really good looking car. I said, it is. I'm taking a trip with it today. I've got room to put my golf clubs in and other things. Very spacious. And you could love it too. And all kinds of different cars down there at York. In York here at GM Balvo Mitsubishi and GM Balvo Kia. Check it out today. And they did want to give you a tip, by the way. A lot of us are still getting rid of winter and getting into the spring mode. Well, this past season's road and salt and winter sludge has done some serious damage to some of your cars. So don't let it be you. A good thorough wash, including underneath, helps prevent rust buildup, like I did yesterday, which comes from all that winter road salt. You want to get that stuff off, and a fresh coat of wax adds an extra layer of protection. That's your tip today from Mitsubishi Kia and Mitsubishi GM Balvo Mitsubishi. GM Balvo Kia, GM Balvo Mitsubishi. I got my merge week there for a second, but you know the idea. It's the GM Balvo name, and it's all about York.
Real quick before you get to the doc.
Go ahead.
Parkville Marty used the texting feature of our show and wanted to thank you for the interview that you had with Mr. Bartz, saying stigma is still the biggest roadblock to mental health treatment. And Parkville Marty, again, this is from him. I don't know exactly where he got these stats, but he says in 2022, over 49,000 people died by suicide, and about 3% of homicides are directly linked to mental health, he says. And in large letters, he wrote, when do we declare a mental health crisis in this country?
Well, and one of the things we hear about with the military, like the 22 veterans are dying a day. That has been a number we've heard for some time now. I thought Bruce did a great job this morning, Mark, and I know you've interviewed him before too, in talking about the way you get to that. But the one thing that I think stands out about depression is the loneliness of it. That is and having experienced some of that firsthand, I can tell you, you could be traveling along in life and things are going pretty good, and all of a sudden something hits you and you say, what happened? So it's a lot different than just saying, hey, I'm depressed today or I'm down today about something. You don't know what you're down about. And sometimes that's a real problem. And one of the guys that's here to help you with that is Dr. Gracia Etienne and the York TMS Clinic at 1806 North George Street in York. Good morning, Dr. Etienne. How are you?
Good morning, Gary. Good morning. How are you?
We're doing really well. I was talking with Bruce Bartz this morning, and he started something called Bartz Brigade when his son committed suicide, and again, was dealing with depression and was dealing with just what looked like a bleak outcome, apparently, but no one could see it. He was a really vibrant kid and really out there in the community, loved his country, loved what was going on, and yet behind all of that look, there's a lot of stuff that's happening sometimes that people can't see, right, Dr. Etienne?
Yeah, it's a major tragedy. Yeah, I think everyone should agree on that. But one of the bigger problems is the fact that we downplay depression way too much in our society. We're not giving it the weight that it does have on people's life, productivity, and so on. And just like this is a perfect example, a very young life, and very promising life, taking away not just from the family, obviously primarily from the family, but from our society, where is not you and I we just lost a young life. That's the way we should look at it as a society. I think we should process it this way and see the effect this is having on us, on our community, and we need to start giving depression the weight that it deserves, the merit that it has as far as attention in handling it.
And I think for a lot of people, I don't think it's unfair to say you're on a mission right now to help make York and the surrounding area here aware that it doesn't have to get to that moment, that there are things you can do to be preventative and proactive in those moments. And yet a lot of people, they wonder when they get to that moment of real depression, and they say to themselves, oh my gosh, I don't know if I could live with this every day. I don't know if I could put up with this feeling every day. It's just this anxious, desperate feeling, turning very inward, very individualistic, very lonely. And yet there are things that it can be done now. I think that's the biggest worry for people that have depression sometimes, Dr. Etienne, that they think, oh, there's nothing that anybody could do for me. And thus we hear about these incidences of suicide from time to time. And there is something you can do. There is something that can be done, right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, people from depression have to get to understand, and that's what you and I, we are committed. We are on a crusade now, and I'm using the term crusade on purpose. We are on a crusade to really create the awareness and make people understand two things. Number one, you're not alone. Okay, this is not an isolated incident where you are the only one suffering and there's no one else. No, the second part, you don't have to do this by yourself. There is help out there. I mean, I'm coming this morning. I just got excited with the testimony from one of our patients who just finished his last treatment today, and the things that he's volunteering. As you know, our staff always want to have conversation with patients and understanding. And he offered that he used to have constant bad thoughts. Everything he thought about was something dark, where he really want to go gloomy, and he used to have feeling that he couldn't do anything better with his life. He didn't want to do anything, and by now he's actually a veteran, so he didn't say get things done. You can imagine which word that he used. He said he's getting things done right now. He has motivation for everything. He came with his wife, who was just glooming. Who was basically glowing with testimony and happy the way that she sees her husband bouncing back and laughing, waking up in the middle of the night after a dream and then laughing instead of having negative dreams. It's like on and on and on and on. There is a treatment. There's an action. Don't take it. And there's a solution.
And Dr. Etienne, one of the things you can do is turn to TMS, which is transcranial magnetic stimulation. And basically what you're doing is you're waking up those areas of the brain that deal with some of these things here that we're talking about. Tell people a little bit about how that works with NeuroStar.
Yeah, the good thing about NeuroStar and TMS is the non-invasive aspect of the treatment. I mean, again, I'm not here to talk bad about medical management as far as the medicines are concerned and everything, but we all know that medicines are never benign. There are some side effects, and some people cannot tolerate them. And especially when it comes down to antidepressant medicine, the success rate is really not that high. It is a challenge for us in the medical field. Even I'm not a psychiatrist, but I do have a lot of psychiatrists. I know it's from primary care psychiatrists, it is a challenge. Most patients have to go through multiple medications before they can even see a glimpse of help, but the success rates are not that great. And that's one thing about the TMS treatment. It's not invasive, very well tolerated, with a very high success rate, up to 82% a improvement or success rate with a 63% remission. So this is, I mean, you can't even find any studies out there on medicine that would get anything close to that. So, yeah. So, your TMS is here for you. The TMS treatment, just like you said with the NeuroStar, targets the area of the brain that controls mood, and by definition, depression and anxiety and OCD and so on. And by awakening those cells and allowing them to reconnect and strengthen that connection,
and it can be
will respond very well.
Very easy to tolerate. I've talked to people who were going through it in that moment and talk about 19 minutes is what a session lasts per day. You can resume normal activities immediately after the treatment. You're not in any tubes or any of that kind of stuff where you're going to be, feel like you're in a tight space. 36 treatment sessions to the completion. And most importantly right now, if you felt lonely about it, if you felt like there's no place that can help you, maybe you can get help right now at York TMS Clinic. Dr. ATN and all the good people over there are ready to help you today. They are on, and I am with them, on a crusade to get people help before they get to that point in time that we heard about this morning. They're at 1806 North George Street right here in York. Ladies and gentlemen, if you've tried a lot of other things and it hasn't worked and you're looking and you're saying, I'm not alone in this, you're not. Dr. ATN and all the good people at York TMS are ready to help you today. Call them now for an appointment and find out what it's all about. You can see it right there and decide if it's right for you. 717-430-0434 or 717-699-7361. You can get info at yorktmsclinic.com or go to their website at yorktmsclinic.com. Dr. ATN, we stay on the crusade, my friend, and we want people to get over there and find out about yet another avenue that might help them to emotional wellness, get away from this depression stuff, and move on with their lives and be productive citizens, right?
And we're going to be successful at it. I can see it coming, and I have faith in it.
Well, we're looking forward to it, Dr. ATN. And again, I hope people will get over there today. York TMS Clinic, 1806 North George Street here in York. Stop on over. Great people to deal with. And Dr. ATN, one of the great names here in York in a long, long time. Doctor, have a great week. We look forward to talking to you again next Friday, my friend.
Great. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Dr. Gracia ATN here on the Gary Sutton Show, York TMS Clinic. Check it out today. WOYK News Time, 748. More cowbell. Sounds like war.
Low Rider.
Yeah.
Very popular song.
This is another one of those songs that, even if you don't know the words, you just feel like you're kind of grooving along. Your legs start going, you're kind of grooving around.
Is this Ozempic?
Might be, yeah. Oh, it is. Yeah, it is. It's that theme. Yeah, that's exactly right.
I think it's Ozempic.
It is. You're right. When you said that, just triggered a nerve. That's pretty good.
Well, no, I hadn't even thought about it.
This
So
is
I'm
on
like,
all
wait
the
a second.
time.
Yes,
Yeah.
it is on all the time. So-
Yeah. I tell you what's not on all the time, but it's on tomorrow at 4 p.m. is a big sale out at Thomasville Country Auction. They got a cool one tomorrow. They've got a car, I understand, tomorrow up for sale. And I wanted to just go back here and see that very quickly. It's a 2016 Scion 5-door hatchback estate car. Only 31,000 miles to be sold tomorrow out at Thomasville Country Auction at their sale at 4 p.m. You can follow them, by the way, on Facebook. And the furniture is now getting sold at 6 p.m. tomorrow on that. But it is going to be a great sale tomorrow. And if you go into ThomasvilleCountryAuction.com right now, hit auction dates, and hit April 26th, you'll see it's an outstanding estate sale tomorrow. High-end furniture along with the car and decor, Oriental rugs, Karastan, early framed embroidery, upholstered chairs, ornate cabinet, table lights, cherry drop leaf and coffee tables, 2 love seats, cherry drop leaf hall table, Boston rocker, that from up your folks' area there, Mark. Entertainment cabinet, cherry sideboard. You get the idea. Cherry table and chairs. Cherry kind of being your operative thing there. I don't know if there's any cherry pie there for you, but you can check it out by going to ThomasvilleCountryAuction.com. No zucchini bread. But don't forget that Scion 5-door hatchback estate car, 31,271 miles on it. That's it. Okay. Automatic transition or transition. Yeah, you can transition with the transmission.
Close enough.
Yeah, black sand, and it's the thing, and it's 4 cylinders, and it's all out there for you tomorrow. Now, here, if you're thinking about having a sale like the one that's coming up tomorrow, maybe you have an estate sale to take care of. Maybe you're moving. Maybe you're downsizing. Maybe none of those. Maybe you just are trying to get rid of some things because you have too much around. Well, I'll tell you what, Jack and Cheryl Hooks are the ones to do it. You call them at 717-764-5403. Have them come out to your home, talk about the sale, tell you what to expect, tell you what not to expect, even tell you how they can haul the items from your house to their auction house. And then guess what? Get on the right sale or sales, whatever it takes to get rid of all those items for you. Jack and Cheryl Hooks have been doing that for over 40 years. And if you're selling your real estate, Cheryl can sell that for you and take care of you as well. 717-764-5403. Save lots of time and money with Jack and Cheryl Hooks. They're ready to help you today. And don't forget, tomorrow, 4 p.m., they got that car up for sale and also all the cherry furniture. Get on out there at 4 p.m. tomorrow. Thomasville Country Auction, Route 30 West, at the railroad tracks in Thomasville. WOYK News Time, 7:55.
So let's talk a little bit more about health. This one has to do with the Lung Association. Comes out every spring with their State of the Air report. And what's going on with that?
The American Lung Association's State of the Air report gives an F for smog and soot pollution to areas of the U.S. that more than 150 million people call home. It looked at data from 2021 to 2023 and found that 25 million more people are now breathing unhealthy levels of air pollution compared to last year. The study found that for the 6th year in a row, Bakersfield, California had the nation's most polluted city, and Casper, Wyoming ranked first as the cleanest city in the U.S. The Environmental Protection Agency says since the Clean Air Act was signed into law in 1970, air pollution emissions have gone down 78%, but studies show that it's been on the rise in recent years. Tanya J. Powers, Fox News.
So the report has the Harrisburg, York, Lebanon metro area as the 79th most polluted in the nation for ozone pollution, 3rd worst in the mid-Atlantic.
My wife is a respiratory therapist and said this is one of the toughest areas to live and breathe in. And I can attest to that as I have trouble with that a lot. By the way, I saw a story yesterday, Mark, that the average parent takes 1,000 pictures of their kid in the first year.
These days,
these days,
yeah.
and more importantly, expects you to click like or love on every single one of them. I think that's the biggest travesty of that whole thing. Yeah. And then I saw also An Arkansas school director is accused of running a child fight club. Can you imagine this?
What?
The first rule of child fight club, don't tattletale about
Yes.
child fight club. That's the very first rule that you'd have about that. And a list of the dirtiest cities in America is out. Now, you can find it by Googling Post Malone U.S. Tour. Yeah, that's wherever he is. That's the dirtiest city in America at the moment. And finally, my trainer said the best way to get strong quickly is to shock your muscles. I told my muscles, Pete Hegseth hasn't been fired yet, and now I have a six-pack. No, there you go. So, no, just he's having a tough week.
More health news, and you heard about measles making a little bit of a comeback. Yeah. Well, now we can add to that list whooping cough.
So far this year, more than 8,400 cases of whooping cough or pertussis reported across the country, twice as many compared to this time last year. Some experts are not surprised after rates fell during COVID precautions, including masking, also noting that pertussis tends to peak every 2 to 5 years. Still, this increase comes as a measles outbreak continues in multiple states, fueling more concern about unvaccinated or undervaccinated populations. At least 3 children have died from whooping cough in the past 6 months, a 5-year-old in Washington State and 2 babies in Louisiana. The pertussis vaccine is given to infants beginning at 2 months old as a combination shot, also for tetanus and diphtheria. The CDC recommends adult boosters for those every 10 years. Lisa Brady, Fox News.
A simple solution there is ban the CDC. Disband them.
Yeah, then you don't know about it. And
I did see today where RFK Jr. will announce coordinated nationwide whooping cough parties. So I don't think that's true, though. I think that might have been just a story under the radar.
But coming up next hour, we'll have some tech news. And, I was looking through the songs because we're doing bumper music from 1975 today. And I happened to come across a song that I would not use for bumper music generally, but it is kind of an interesting song because it did very well for a very short period of time because the song wasn't in a movie. It sort of featured music from the movie, but it was a parody sort of the movie. And we'll explain and give you a little bit of a taste. You'll remember it if you were around then.
And still out ahead, York historian Jim McClure, as we get into nonprofits over the years. We're heading for the Big Give next week with Give Local York. And Jim's going to set the table with that. And then, of course, Dr. Nick Pantelides joins us with the world through Dr. Nick's eyes when he's here at 8:35 on the Gary Sutton Show. This hour brought to you by Kindness Worldwide. It is 8 o'clock. Notice how I deftly worked that in.
York's only local show is back on its new home on York's only local station.
Guess who's back? Back again.
This is the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK.
I'm back.
Now, broadcasting live from WOYK's downtown York studios inside Wellspan Park, here's Gary Sutton.
Welcome back to the Gary Sutton Show, brought to you by Barley Snyder Law Firm here on the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK, the Main Street of America in York County. Barley Snyder Law Firm features a wide variety of practice areas, industry groups, and service teams geared toward helping you achieve your business goals. Great law firm right here in York. They're located at 100 East Market Street. Check them out today and give them a call at 717-846-8888 and see if they can help you in the area that you're in. They have so many different areas. It's almost too many to count right here. But barley.com is where you can find out all about the law firm and the 130 lawyers all over the area, including right here in York. I am Gary Sutton, and of course, this hour also brought to you by Regents Glen Country Club, where I am a member, have been so since 2001. And I'll tell you what, you want to talk about a place to have some fun. They're about 5 minutes from right here in downtown York. You'd never know it. You're out there in the midst of the quietness and so forth, and yet 5 minutes from the square. And golf, pickleball, what else do we have going on out there? Pool is about to open here in May. Beautiful pool down back. They've got a workout center. They've now got pickleball courts. They've got bocce courts. And one of the best golf courses you're going to find anywhere in York or the surrounding area. And just give a call today to 717-747-1919 and ask for Lacey or Mackenzie, and they'll show you around. Yeah, just show you around and give you an idea. It's very affordable. They're building homes out there, so you can actually live out there right now on the golf course itself. But Regents Glen Country Club, check them out at regentsglencountryclub.com for more information about a beautiful place. And my wife and I actually were married out there up on the hill there, and we love it. We love it. It's part of our lives every day. Maybe make it part of yours. And give a call today to 717-747-1919. Talk to Lacey or Mackenzie and find out more information about it. With that, we turn to a guy who has been, I'm pretty sure he was here when they founded York. I'm not sure. Jim McClure is a York historian. He is the author of Never to Be Forgotten, a year-by-year look at York County history all the way up for 275 years. Every now and then people think that maybe you were here when they showed up at the first time, Jim, but that was not so. So anyway, good to have you in this morning, my friend. How are you?
Well, sometimes I feel that way, like I've been around for that long. But interestingly, today we're going to talk mostly about the last 10 years. So, recent history.
Let's get into some of the last 10 years, because I know we're leading up next week to the whole idea of nonprofits and what people have been doing here, and some of the philanthropists of York County, the people who have really given. And you wanted to kind of note some of that this morning. So talk a little bit about that, if you would, Jim.
Yeah, Give Local York is next week, 9 p.m. Thursday next week, May 1st to 9 p.m. May 2nd, Friday. And I thought maybe we would just set the table for that a little bit. And really, this is a story of change since about 2018. And it starts with the community change involving really the death, the passing of many of our philanthropists in our community.
Right.
And it goes through the fact that many nonprofits today are, their boomers are retiring. So that's going to be change in our community. And then lastly, when we talk about Give Local York, it's a story about the way we change the way we change giving in the community, how that has changed in the last 8 years or so. So maybe we start at the first part where we talk about the philanthropists who have passed on in the last decade.
Yeah, there are a number of them, and you'd be remiss if you didn't start with maybe a philanthropist like Louis Appel Jr., who passed away a few years ago here at the age of 92.
Yeah, and I think that was in 2016, and then when he died, and then William T. Wolf was another one who died several years before that.
Right.
Art Gladfelder, and then Bob Kinsley passed later than the others. But all these really key figures who were big in philanthropy to nonprofits in the community. So, the best thinking was in the community as well. We don't have as many folks giving $1,000 gift, so maybe we can change our approach to get 1,000 people giving a $1 gift.
Right.
And Give Local York was kind of grew out of that. The second area, maybe we can just move on to that, was our nonprofits leaders who are retiring. That's another area of change. So we've changed the way we're funding the nonprofits, but we're also losing some of these longtime community leaders in the nonprofit area. So we're losing kind of our philanthropists, and we're also losing our nonprofit leaders. The nonprofit leaders are retiring, and I'm thinking about folks like Joan Mummert from the York County History Center. Is retiring, I think, the end of this month, and Jane Conover from the York County Community Foundation retired a couple years ago, and now Natalie Gunderson has replaced her. And Larry Richardson from the York YMCA is retiring mid-year after a 31-year career.
One of my golfing friends there, I see him every Friday out at Regents Glen, and and I said to him the other day, I said, well, happy retirement. He said, not yet. I'm not quite done. He said, but Larry's one of those, you just sense he still has an itch to do something else. And I would not be surprised to see him rise again somewhere, because I'm not sure he's going to be satisfied just sitting at home with all the work he's done in the YMCA over the year, and also, helping to bring together that whole YMCA of the Roses now, that the two groups coming from both sides of the river on that. So I'm not sure he's going to necessarily be ready to go, but we'll see.
Well, that's Larry's story is another story of change, or the YM, because after COVID, the YM over in Lancaster wasn't sure that they were going to reopen, and so they went to Larry at the YM here and said, hey, can you help us? And so what ended was, as you pointed out, was the YMCA of the Roses, which is another one of these connections with Lancaster County, which is a kind of it's not brand new, but it's we have a lot more connections with Lancaster County than we did, maybe 20 years ago. And Larry was instrumental in forming the YMCA of the Roses, where the two counties operate YMCA together.
And, of course, the YWCA CEO Jody Schaefer is getting ready to retire at the end of this year over in Hanover, right?
Yeah, sometimes we overlook the good stuff that's happening in Hanover, and she's retiring this year. She was there for a long time as the president, but also she was a staff member way before that. And they just have announced a $10 million renovation to their 50-year-old facility down there in Hanover, and that's going to kind of focus on child care and and children. So she's going out with with a great thing going on down there.
Give Local York has been around now for 6 years. I think we're heading to our 7th this year. And when you look at, and I've fortunately been part of that during that time, interviewing a lot of people with the nonprofits and also having a chance to do some MC work down there. But I've been amazed at the growth in those first 6 years of just where it started and where it is now. Talk about that a little bit, if you will, Jim.
Yeah, what they do is what I've always observed, and I don't know if they probably would confirm this, is they don't talk about the overall goal. They talk about the number of donors.
They do.
And so I think if they figure they can get enough small donors, then the big goal will take care of itself. So last year, for example, they raised $5.27 million for 330 nonprofits. And so the overall donors was about 13,000 donors, So there's that example of they get a lot of smaller donors who give, and the bigger number just adds up. And one of the most miraculous things that happened in our community during COVID was, even during COVID, they showed an increase. Like 2019, they had $3 million they raised, and then during COVID in 2020, they raised $3.5 million.
They did. Yeah.
So so it's been a very successful way to kind of make up for the loss of the kind of the big ticket philanthropy in the community. And I should say quickly that in the case of our those Louis Pale and others, they did leave very generous foundations. So I can't overlook that. But still, the approach is to get for a lot of donors in the community to give a small amount, and then the big number adds up.
Now, you have a tie-in here to the 250th anniversary of Paul Revere's ride. We were talking about that last week. And what happened in York County in the aftermath of Lexington and Concord. That's what's going to be coming up next week when we talk on the day of the big give numbers coming in. But I do want to remind people next week it starts on Thursday at 9 a.m. It goes to Friday at 9 a.m. And, you know, one of the things that I wanted to mention to you, Jim, about that is the idea of transmittal. That as a historian, you know, we are always transmitting history on. Well, in this case, we're transmitting on kind of a feeling. A responsibility, a custodial kind of thing, if you will, that we need to keep on giving to these various kinds of organizations that really help to richen the fabric of the community. Talk a little bit about that, if you would.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting that some people have noted, just to talk about Paul Revere for a second, that the reason he was so effective in alerting the people in the countryside that the British were coming was that he knew everybody. He was what you would call a community connector. He just knew everybody in the community. So when he went into the community, he knew who to contact and so on. And some people said that Gordon Frarick would be in that category. You know, the late Gordon Frarick. So I think that what we're talking about here, just to tie it back into Give Local York, there you have people throughout the community who are, who talk about Give Local York, and and a lot of Give Local York is now digitally driven. So, you know, you talk about it in person, you talk about it digitally, and the community just kind of comes together and talks about this stuff, and and we raise more than $5 million a year.
And I know next week we'll be in person down here. We're going to be doing a bunch of things here at the stadium, so I'm looking forward to being involved in those. A lot of things around the community we've heard about where people are going to be doing contests or food things or just fun stuff. I just think it's a wonderful time for the whole York community, be it county or city or both, to come together and really kind of enjoy doing something really good that's going to help the whole community at large. Final thoughts this morning, Jim.
Yeah, who would have thought, you know, people say nothing ever changes in York County, but here we have a program that in the late teens, a giving program that was at zero, now we're at 5.2 million. And all that on top of the loss of, the deaths of our philanthropists.
Right.
And all that on top of the retirement of very key figures in our community. So York County is changing more than we might give it credit for in a good way.
And all to be appreciated for those people, what they did in the past, because they certainly helped to build a base. But now it's, as they used to say, I guess, in the Army, next man up, right? Next girl up. There are other people now to step into those places and fill those voids. And I know there's a lot of people around that want to do that. And certainly we're seeing that with the increase every year of people getting involved in Give Local York. Jim, great morning to think back on that and to think forward on it as well. Really appreciate that. And next week we'll be talking about Paul Revere's ride. I'm looking forward to that with you next Friday here, my friend, on WOYK. Thanks again for all the work you do.
Thank you very much, Gary.
And don't forget also, ladies and gentlemen, you can find Never to Be Forgotten Jim's work down at Brown's Orchards or at the History Museum. And Jim, I don't. Do we still have Jim there? Or is he off right now? Jim, where are you going to be, by the way, next week? I always like to tell people where you're going to be at, and they could get around and maybe get the book signed or even just hear you speak.
Yes, on May 15th at 7 p.m., I'll be at the Hanover Area Historical Society to talk about what I call York County at 275 years plus the 250th anniversaries that you mentioned coming up, of the Declaration, the Articles of Federation. So May 15th, 7 p.m. down to Hanover. And then on May 21st at 7 p.m., I'll be talking about how the American Revolution and the Civil War kind of connect in many ways in York County at the York Civil War Roundtable, 7 p.m., May 21st at the York County History Center.
Great stuff. Jim, really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Jim McClure, a mainstay here on our show every single Friday, never to be forgotten. Check out the book. I'm Gary Sutton, back with more right after this on the Main Street of America in York County. It is WOYK. Love it. It's got to be Tavares.
It is New Bedford Zone.
Here you go, ladies and gentlemen. Ready?
What's an hour of the day? We throw at least one away. Walk the streets every year, trying to find a new career.
This is us back on November 7th.
Now if you get a flu attack,
for 30 days you're on your back.
Tonight I'll sing you dance. Baby, give me half a chance.
Everybody.
It only takes a minute, girl, to fall in love. Fall in love. It only takes a minute, girl.
There it is.
Yes, Tavares Brothers, and it only takes a minute. And we're talking 1975. And I was, as I was doing research for this, I came across this song, and well, you can't call this a song. I'm sorry.
You can't?
No, it's just like zucchini bread. You can't.
Stop it.
It's not a real bread.
My wife is still in tears. She wrote me this morning and said my
She
feelings of
did
her.
not.
Yeah, she did. It's horrible. I showed me a picture.
What's interesting
Imagine
about
tears coming out of those eyes.
What's interesting about this song is that it used to be a thing.
Okay.
For a very short time, it was a thing.
All right.
And then for some reason, probably technology, it kind of went away. But
let's hear it.
At this moment in time, which we're talking summer 1975, this guy came up with this little format, and it was very, very popular. It really was.
We are here on the beach where a giant shark has just eaten a girl swimmer. Well, Mr. Jaws, how was it? Dynamite! And what did she say when you grabbed her? Please, Mr. Please. I know sharks are stupid, but what did you think when you took that first bite? How sweet it is. Mr. Jaws, before you swim out to sea, have you anything else to say? With me now is the local
Are they
sheriff.
funny?
Sheriff Brody,
No.
the shark will be back for lunch. What do you intend to do? Just arriving is oceanographer Matt Hooper. Sir, if someone is attacked by a shark, what should they do? We are going aboard the fishing boat of Captain
my.
Quint. Captain, will you be able to catch this giant shark? Thank you, Captain. Captain, when you catch one of these sharks, what do you feel like? Like a rhinestone cowboy. We've just sighted the shark again. He's coming straight for us. Captain Quint is shouting something at him. Get your baby one of these nights. Hey, Jaws, the captain says he's going to catch you. What do you think of that? Uh-oh, here he comes again. They've hit him. Mr. Jaws, why doesn't anything seem to hurt you?
Big boys don't
He's
cry.
coming right onto the boat. Mr. Jaws, why are you grabbing my hand? Wouldn't you give your hand to a friend? No, wait. Mr. Jaws, that's
Anyway.
not the way this record is supposed to end. Help! Help!
And there you go. That was the end of it.
That was the best part.
Dickie Goodman, Mr. Jaws, where he came up with these ridiculous questions, and then trying to figure out little clips from other hits for the answer, and it was a thing. I mean, it was a very popular song at the time, but
Yeah.
anyway,
I hear you. Anyway,
Let's
by the
talk. Oh, go ahead.
I saw something interesting this morning. I alluded to it earlier in kind of a joke, but they compiled a list of the dirtiest cities in America. They
Yes.
analyzed 12.3 million sanitation-related 311 complaints placed over the past year, and for problems for garbage and waste and things like that. And are you ready for this? Here is the dirtiest city list. Start with number 10 is Dallas. Okay. And then Buffalo was 9. Kansas City 8. San Antonio was number 7. By the way, New York was not on this list. They were at 16th. They were way back. Boston was number 6. Number 5, Memphis. Number 4 was Los Angeles. Number 3 was Charlotte. And moving in at number 2, Sacramento, California. The site notes that Sacramento encourages residents to call 311 for anything they need, including routine collections, starting a new service, this is for garbage, requesting new bins or reporting broken container lids, not just problems. So that might explain the higher volume of calls. And then number 1, and gosh darn, aren't they proud, Baltimore is number 1 dirtiest city in the country with 47,295 sanitary-related complaints per 100,000 people each year. So there you go. Now, I was thinking about this just a little bit, and I thought, what if you got like tourist slogans for like the dirtiest city? So you turn it into like a plus.
Oh, yeah.
For example, what happens here smells here. You know, that might, I'm just saying, 6 trillion cockroaches can't be wrong. Pollution toughens the lungs. If you'd lived here, you'd be grimy by now. Nothing beats the smell of decay in the morning, huh? Hey, Post Malone stinks and you still love him. That's not dirt. That's authenticity.
Yeah, it's genuineness.
Come see rats in their natural habitat.
There you go.
You want clean? Go live in Canada with all of them other sissies, right? And finally, you eat trash, you watch trash, you read trash. Now come live in it, huh?
Oh, jeez.
What do you think? Any of those float with you?
No.
Okay.
Coming up, though, in the next half hour, we will have that tech news, which is kind of interesting take on a plan that the UK is going to do,
right,
or at least one group of scientists to help fight climate change. An interesting idea. And also, speaking of tech news, a milestone for Madonna? Another one?
She got another face job?
No.
Who knows? And of course, Dr. Nick Pandalidis, he takes a look at the world through his eyes as only he can here on the Gary Sutton Show, brought to you this hour by Regents Glen Country Club. Give them a call today at 717-747-1919. Talk to Lacey or Mackenzie. Have them show you around. I'll tell you what, ladies and gentlemen, right here in the middle of York, it is affordable. They've got all kinds of great things there for you. A wonderful golf course with some of the best greens you're going to find anywhere, and I mean anywhere, not just York County. They've got pickleball courts now for you. They've got bocce courts, a pool, a workout center, and a place where you can gather together, a huge tent that seats up to 400 people where you can gather together for your various kinds of get-togethers, and something going on all the time at Regents Glen Country Club. Find out today. It is a hub of activity and a great place for families to get together. Maybe you would like your family to join too. Very affordable right now. Give them a call at 717-747-1919 and tell them Gary Sutton, a member, proudly sent you. It is 7:30.
It's 8:30, sorry.
York's only local talk show, The Gary Sutton Show, here on the main street of America and York County. Brought to you by Barley Snyder Law Firm. Find them at barley.com for all your legal needs. Well, not all of them, but you can check out and see all the areas they cover at barley.com. But they cover a lot. 130 attorneys all over the area. And I'll tell you what, right here in York on 100 East Market Street, give them a call today at 717-846-8888. Open 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. Barley Snyder Law Firm, proud presenter of this program. And also this hour being brought to you by Regents Glen Country Club, located just off Indian Rock Dam Road, the 1000 Golf Road, right here in York. And it is just a gem. It really is. I've been there since 2001. My wife and I were married there. And I'll tell you what, you talk about activities galore, this place is rocking. All kinds of things happen, from a great golf course, best greens you're going to find anywhere, bocce courts, pickleball courts, workout center, pool outside. I mean, they've got it going on. Some great happy hours, like on Friday nights around 4 o'clock. And they are ready to rip and ready to help you and your family have a great time. Why don't you check out what Regents Glen Country Club has for you today? It's very, very affordable right now. They got some great deals going on. Call Lacey and Mackenzie over there. 717-747-1919, and tell them Gary Sutton proudly sent you, and stop by and they'll show you around the place. Maybe even get you a free round of golf, and you can check that out with all the good people there at the Pro Shop as well. Regents Glen Country Club, proud sponsor of this hour here on WOYK. And we welcome in Dr. Nick Pantelidis, who's not been with us for the last week. He had religious exercises last week with Easter and everything going on, but he's here today, and that is the most important thing to us. Former local orthopedic surgeon, now retired bicycle rider. Although he's not retired from that, he's still doing that, I think. Good morning, Dr. Nick. How are you?
Good. I'm in Columbia, South Carolina, just enjoying the weather.
Just down there, just for no apparent reason? I mean, did you just end up there, or what happened?
Well, Lisa's Tanta Lynn lives down here, so we came to visit.
Okay, good. So you're just doing some visiting right now. Did you take your bike with you?
Of course. We went to Skyline Drive, and which is beautiful. Have you been there?
I have been to Skyline Drive. Beautiful place. Yeah, beautiful area.
Yep. And then we were outside of Staunton, did some riding there. So, yeah.
Okay.
Family and riding. Yep.
Stayed up on the bike, did you?
I did.
Good. Because I remember when I read about bike riding that the idea was to stay in the seat, not to be out of the seat. I remember that when I was a kid. When I first learned on my Schwinn.
Yeah, these biking jokes are just falling flat these days, Gary. I mean, keep it up.
Depends on who you are.
You can only go back to the well so many times.
No, I know. Anyway, but I won't go to those. That's cheap on our part. Mark and I, we constantly look at each other and say, maybe...
Hey, don't include me in this.
Maybe we've done these too long. Maybe it's time to just let it go, right? Does anyone ever come up to you and say, by the way, we've heard, they joke about your bicycle. Did anybody ever say it to you?
Well, I mean, you're not the only ones who like to get in on the needling, so...
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Maybe you should get in on the needling and put the needle in your bike and get the tires up there the proper. That's a whole nother thing. Anyway, no. Hey, in all seriousness, what are you looking at the last couple of weeks here? I didn't get a chance to talk to you in the last 2 weeks because of Easter, but what things are kind of you look around and say, really, that's it? That's where we're at right now? Did you ever just kind of appraise what's going on like that?
Yeah, I mean, I think many of us who are interested in politics, you'd like to start to see some of the method in the madness. I'm not sure it's there. I mean, I still have a sense that we will meander our way to a good spot. I mean, certainly good things have happened, along with some bad things with immigration. I do think that there are good reasons to try to institute policies to bring back some manufacturing in the United States, both from a security perspective. I mean, we should be making our own computer chips and the most advanced computer chips in the world, inside the country. And I do think that we gave away some manufacturing jobs that we can bring back, and that's going to be a very slow thing. But if a coherent policy can be, expressed, then corporate America, could confidently say, okay, we're going to reassign resources in this way. So, I mean, that's the kind of stuff I've been thinking about, I guess.
And I'm kind of there with you a little bit. I think one of the areas, and again, I like to critique things. I don't like to, take the side of a party because supposedly they're the side you're supposed to be on. I don't ever do that. I don't join a side like that. But one of the things that I would like to see happen more, instead of waving the pom-poms all the time for this is going to be great or this is going to be, this will be the greatest thing we've ever seen, because that's just, we're used to that. I think we become numb in advertising world to all the glittering generalities, I like to call them. Great, fantastic, this is the best, no one's ever seen anything like this. I think we get away from that. I think where the messaging needs to graduate to is another level, saying, here is why we think it's going to be a golden age. And the reason it's going to be a golden age is because of these specific things, and this is how they work together, and tell the story. We're not telling the story well enough. We're repeating the mantras, but we're not telling the story about how it's going to make things better and why it's going to make things better. And some people say, we don't need that story. I think we do. I think for a lot of younger people who haven't been around for a long time and haven't experienced a lot of the history that older people have, the older generations, I think we need to tell the story better, and we're not doing necessarily a great job of that right now. Your thoughts on that, Nick?
No, absolutely. I mean, especially with the trade policy. Again, to simply say it's going to be great and wonderful, as you said, is just empty words and doesn't leave people confident. And I do think there are, the two parts are, telling the story about why we want to do this, and a good story, and an argument can be made around it. And then the next step, of course, is to outline a how that actually makes sense. And so we're not hearing why too much, we're not hearing how too much. Instead, as you say, the glittering, what do you call it? The
glittering generalities. Yeah.
Glittering generalities.
You like that?
So,
yeah.
I do like that.
Yeah. I think it's really...
Yeah, I should have remembered it better.
Well, no, it's good. I mean, I can repeat it a couple times. It's kind of like riding the bike. You just get back up there and you keep saying it, and it works.
Get back on that saddle.
Not a problem. But, I'm one of those guys that when you talk to me, you have to make some sense. You have to say to me, like if you're doing an operation on me and say, now, this is going to be the greatest operation you ever had. I'm not buying that. Okay? Yeah. And I love you, Dr. Nick, but, if you're going to come in with an operation, you're going to say, okay, now how is that going to be the greatest thing I've ever had? Tell me what's going to happen. Tell me how long it's going to take me to recover. Tell me what's going to happen in this. Is it going to hurt a lot? Are you going to be a lot of shots? I want to know how that's all going to be, point A is connected to point B, to point C to point D. And I think as American citizens, that's what we demand of our representatives in a Republican kind of government where people represent us. They need to tell us the story of what it is that they're doing to best represent us. And I feel like we're lacking in that. I think we've got the basic headline, but we don't have the story underneath with the body to it that really gives us the understanding that we need as citizens, right?
Right. And, to be fair, it seems particularly obvious with the Trump administration, but the reality is we haven't had that in 20 years. I mean, longer. The politics has been doled out in different ways. The rhetoric has been, maybe less intense, but we haven't been. Most of the politics that's gone on the last at least 15 years is essentially calling the other party names.
Well, and here,
saying, "Oh, no wonder you won't do that. You're a Republican or whatever." Yeah. There hasn't been a good policy discussion.
Well, and what's happened also is, we've had a lot of people trying to hide what they're putting out there. What Nancy Pelosi said, we got to vote for the bill before we see what's in it. That kind of nonsense. I mean, that silliness stuff goes on. And we've had other people on both sides, saying some pretty dumb stuff during that time and trying to pass things along. I remember with Obamacare, all the various deals that were going on behind the scenes, the Nebraska plan and all those different things. And people saying, if we cut this, we'll get them to vote for this, even though they don't necessarily agree with it. That's not good policy. We need to have good policy where it says, here's what's best for the American people. Here's why it is, step by step by step. And this is what I'm planning to do. There you go. You talk about open and transparency. There you go. Your thoughts?
Yeah, and but I mean, just currently, unfortunately, that's not his style. And there's definitely, I mean, he has some opportunities to really talk about, positive policy. The idea that the government has bureaucracy has grown and gotten out of hand is unaccountable. You would think pretty straightforward and very an argument that many people will be receptive to. And again, good movement on immigration, but also some missteps and not owning up to them. And then thirdly, the whole idea behind the tariffs. And the last thing is that there's been a fair amount of deregulation, and if it could just be a little bit more coherent in explaining of what's going on. And but I think there is less method to the madness than we would hope for.
Right. On the other hand, I wish for the Democrats to have a little bit more coherent policies to consider right now. I think it's a golden time for them to step up and say, okay, here's what he's doing. We don't like that, but here's what we would do in its place. And the problem is that what they've offered before didn't apparently work. He got elected. Somebody said one day, well, all these people are Trumpers and all this horrible stuff. I said, wait a second. If he got elected, what were your policies? What were the people you were trotting out there? And then there's a new thing that really has bothered me a little bit lately, this dark woke, it's called. It's a new term that they've thrown out there, the term of the week or the term du jour, about we got to swear more. We got to use more swearing now when we're out there. Like somehow that's going to resonate, I guess, with a younger crowd or whatever. I don't know. I don't know if it's resonating that well with people that, you learn how to say some bad words and now you're going to use them. And some of the people sound like they're reading them from a paper when they use them. It's amazing. But your thoughts about dark woke?
Yeah, awful, obviously. I mean, I think in a very big picture way, the Democrat in the last election, the fact that the Democrats over the last 10 to 15 years have been, tearing down sort of traditional American ideology, traditional American morality, the people finally said enough. And then essentially the dark woke thing is doubling down on it. We're going to be even more non-traditional. Right. We were taught to speak nicely and courteously, and this was kind of a hallmark of what was considered virtuous in American society. And now they're saying we need to swear more. I mean, it's ludicrous. So I mean, there's only one. I think there's only one party right now that can get its act together. The Democrats aren't going to get their act together because they're going to support policies and ideology that ultimately are destructive and anti-American and anti-traditional.
I don't know. I'd like to see both parties move to some common sense stuff and just say, hey, here's what we got to talk about. These are the things that are really good for all Americans in the long run. And I hope they swear off the nonsense. Like I'm going to swear off the bicycle jokes. I'm swearing those off, never to be used again. Mark, I'm going to have Mark hold me to account on that. And I'm just not going to go to that folderol anymore. That kind of cheap kind of humor that we used with you so many times over the years.
And I will try to stay on the bike as a result.
Well, it'd be nice for a change, but but no, we're not going to go to that kind of stuff. Anyway, Dr. Nick, always great having you on. Whenever you're around, even when you're on vacation, I kind of give you props today for being in Columbia, South Carolina, and then calling us anyway and just being here with us on the show. It's great. You need a pat in the back.
Well, I enjoy it so much. I'd hate to miss it. It's harder if I'm in the wrong time zone, but.
Well, I know, but we're really glad about that, and we pat you on the back, said we don't want you to fall off the bike. So yeah. Anyway, yeah. So thank you.
All right, you already broke your promise. Good job.
Did I do that? I'm sorry, Dr. Nick. Enjoy your vacation. Thank you, buddy. Take care. Catch you next week. Dr. Nick Bandoleet is here on the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK. York's only local talk show. Mark liked that.
You already broke your promise.
He got it. Yeah, he got it. That was the idea. You knew it was coming.
He was probably running to get some zucchini bread.
Well, which would be a lot better than rolling there to get it. So anyway, we'll take a break. We'll come back with more. It's 8:49 here on a Friday morning. Final thoughts, final stories coming up right after this. Little Linda Ronstadt.
No heat wave, but it'll be in the 70s today.
Yeah. Remember when she did that album with Nelson Riddle and the old standards? And man, the people in rock went crazy on her.
She had a heck of a voice. She's
had a heck of a boyfriend too at that time, Jerry Brown, who was the governor of California.
She battling Parkinson's, I believe, these days.
Yeah. By the way, here is a strange and sad story, and I'm starting to think that the UK is replacing Florida as a place that we jab fun at most of the time, but they haven't overtaken them yet. But here you go. If you love your vehicle and it's stolen, would you try to replace it with the exact same car as much as possible? A lot of people might.
Maybe.
Well, a 36-year-old man in the UK named Ewan Valentine woke up a couple of months ago and realized that his car had been stolen out of his driveway. It was a black Honda Civic, and he was gutted because he really liked that car. Now, he reported it and did all the insurance paperwork, but the car was never found. So he went out to buy a similar replacement. He found a perfect match at a used car dealer about an hour away, and he bought it for $26,000. That's when things started to feel really strange. The car wasn't detailed, and there was stuff inside, like a piece from a tent, Christmas tree pine needles, and some candy bar wrappers.
What?
All right. Well, the debris didn't seem like trash. It felt familiar. But maybe everyone has buildup like that in their cars, even the kind of candy bars he liked. But get this. Ewan was messing around with the car's navigation and saw that his address and his parents' address were in the system's history. He said, I nearly crashed, to be honest, because I was in shock. My hands were shaking. My heart was pounding. He took it to the dealership, and they confirmed that it was his car. The VIN number, mileage, and plates had been tampered with and altered, but the key was the same that he had for his old car. So Ewan called the police. They couldn't believe it either. It sounds like the thieves did all the cloning work to change the car and then sold it to the used car place, which was also duped. As far as we know, there haven't been any arrests, and Ewan is still in the process of trying to get his money and deposit back for the vehicle. It sounds like it could be a happy ending, though.
Wow, yeah.
Assuming he's able to get the money situation sorted out. Still, he says it doesn't feel triumphant. It still feels like he's done something a bit stupid. That's from the BBC.
Well, I mean, it's not his fault.
Isn't that weird, though?
It is weird. Speaking of the UK, here's an interesting way to battle climate change, at least according to a couple of scientists.
UK scientists are set to launch their very own outdoor geoengineering experiment, all part of a $66 million government-funded program. Geoengineering is, in many corners, quite controversial because most proposals aim to block sunlight from reaching the Earth's surface by launching clouds of reflective particles into the atmosphere or using seawater sprays to make the clouds brighter. Now, if successful, that could temporarily reduce surface temperatures. Critics call solar radiation management barking mad and a dangerous distraction from cutting emissions. However, Professor Mark Stimes, he's leading one such program. He says, you got to do something about climate change. It's strong enough reason to try this.
That's an interesting idea.
Yeah. And by the way, have you ever stood around while CVS was printing out the Dead Sea Scrolls receipt, 3-mile long receipt, and thought, come on, you're killing me?
What?
Well, now that may be true, literally. Health researchers say that thermal paper receipts often have high levels of a forever chemical called bisphenol S, or BPS. It's similar to BPA, which is in plastics. You've probably seen things labeled BPA free. Well, the BPS in receipts is hormone disrupting.
Oh, my.
And it mimics estrogen and can throw off the normal function of the body, including metabolism, growth and development, and reproduction. Good grief. The chemical can be absorbed, though, through skin when handling receipt paper. And supposedly, holding a BPS-laced receipt for just 10 seconds can have serious health consequences.
Wow.
So is this a serious concern or just a fleeting internet concern? It's hard to say. This is not a new discovery. Scientists have been researching the harmful effects of BPS for a while. In 2021, German researchers warned that it could seriously damage human brains after studying its effects on goldfish. And it was known that BPS was in thermal paper receipts. That's one of the reasons they are not recyclable. That's true. Now you know.
Interesting.
No receipt, thank you.
Let's get to that milestone for Madonna.
As YouTube celebrates its 20th anniversary this week, the video sharing platform marks a new milestone with Madonna.
All the nature wild and free. This is where I long to be. La Isla Bonita.
Her music video for La Isla Bonita from 1986 is her first to reach 1 billion views on YouTube. The song got new life in part because of TikTok trends. Over 200,000 videos have been posted to this sound in the past year, with users using it to soundtrack their fashion and vacation videos. Monica DeLuca, Fox News.
That's where I heard it.
There you go.
And, it is the 25th of April, Arbor Day, DNA Day.
Opening day for the Revolution against Gastonia, North Carolina. A game time tonight at 7. 6:40 is the pregame. Darrell Henry down there with the team tonight. And, of course, keep in mind the 29th, you go to YorkRevolution.com, get your tickets right now. Opening day here at Wellspan Park. We'll be bringing you the game here. And after the weekend, we'll be talking about the Revolution on Monday and how they did. And also talking with Mark Hendrickson as well. He was a former Major League pitcher, even pitched here for the Revolution for a while. And Joe Decree, The World Through the Eyes of Vet Monday. And keeping our eyes on all the stories throughout the weekend, Mark, that are happening all around you right here in York County. This is York's only local talk show. We thank Regis Glen Country Club for sponsoring this hour today. Give them a call at 717-747-1919 right now. Take a little tour and find out if it's a good place for you. All kinds of great things happening at Regis Glen Country Club. Thanks to Mark. Thanks to you for listening all week. Have a great weekend, everyone. Be safe out there. Go Rebs. It's 9 o'clock.